and over again with this fake money that's not backed up by gold or silver. And you keep going to them looking for this money over and over and over and over again, right? Um, you have to qualify for that money, correct? Right? You can't just say, give me the money. You can't just do Tom Cruise, show me the money, right? You have to qualify for what it is that you say that you deserve. You say you deserve this money, show us the qualification, right? So then they say, show us your taxes. Show us you've been paying your taxes. What does that mean? That means that show us, like specifically, we want to see specifically, are you a debt slave? Are you good at debt slavery? If you're good at debt slavery, then we'll give you some more stuff because they told you when we pay you this stuff, you're going to pay it back, which means that they're not helping you in the long run. They're hurting you. They're keeping you in the same place. They're making you go further into it, and you're sitting up there thankful and grateful for it, right? But then somebody else comes and says, "Hey, I'm ready to rain down manna from heaven," and you look at them strange. But we have faith in things that cause us to be debt slaves. But when it's time for the manna from heaven, we have no faith. Amen. You said, yeah, we didn't know what we were signing for with birth certificates, social security numbers. Yeah, we didn't know. But the people who had to sign it, they said, what? Have faith. You know, thankful for the scraps. And even for, and you know what? Because I can feel in my spirit, somebody would, when we say thankful for the scraps, somebody would be like, well, even the dogs eat the scraps from the master's table. Yeah, right. But they eat the scraps from the master's table. That's actually real food. But who was the master that she was speaking of? She's speaking of Yashvai. And she was calling herself a dog because that was a test, right? She was saying people would call her a dog, a half breed, something along those lines, right? That's why that was a test for her, and she passed the test. But we're not dogs out here. Why are we living like such? We're not dogs out here. Why are we allowing ourselves to be dogs? We're not dogs out here. We are not, right? But for whatever reason, we're continuing to go down this road. We're continuing to allow people to mistreat us. We're not being. We're not human beings. We're not sovereign beings. You have to be sovereign, right? You have to be sovereign. That's why when you fill out your paperwork, when we teach you to do so, we say what? Make sure you say no on a certain thing, right? As far as being a U.S. citizen, make sure you say no. Why do you say no? Why do you say that your parents are not? Why do we have you do that? We have you do that because anybody who you say is connected to this system, it means that you must be what they say. You don't have to be what they say. You can be who you are. Just because mom and dad were part of a generational curse doesn't mean you can't be a curse breaker. Right? But you have to decide to be a human being. You have to make that decision. Right? Choose ye this day who you will serve. Right? Choose today. Who will you serve? You got to figure it out. Who will you serve? And so a lot of these questions that I'm getting, they get answered when you comprehend that sovereignty means that you got to be something. People say, "What's up, king? What's up, queen?" Will you be something? If you say king, queen, you say, "I'm a queen. I'm royalty." Okay, I'm gonna look at what you be now. How you doing, Sister Miko? It's time for me to look at your being. Right? Thanks for being part of the community. They love, appreciate it. Right? It's time for us to look at your being. You say you're a human being. It's time to look into your being. Right? You tell me you want to become a doctor. I got to start looking at what you're being. You say you're going to become a nurse. I got to start looking at your being. You say you're going to become a friend. I got to start looking at your being. Sorry to go Forrest Gump on this, but sovereign is as sovereign does. You remember Forrest said, stupid is as stupid does. Right? Sovereign is as sovereign does. Because I see what you're being, right? When you're speaking life, that's great. You're having faith, that's great. But at some point, manifestation has to take place, right? Sovereign is, how you doing, Prince? Sovereign is as sovereign does. What is your being? What are you being? What are you becoming? There's a lot of people who speak all day long about this. UCC 1-308, and it's the same as 207. And I can tell you 28 USC 300-215A. And I know it's a corporation, and I know this and I know that. But when you look at their life and you look at their personal life, like, do they live sovereign? Where's your being? Do you get to choose what you want to do all day, every day? Amen. Where's your love in action? Right? Love is action. Love is action. So where's your love as a sovereign? How you doing, Brother Clem? Where's your love? I love sovereignty. I love making sure that the community is well. Fine. Like, where's your colonization, kings, queens? What do you colonize? When is the last time you gentrified? Sovereign is as sovereign does. TC Burn, you said you don't get to choose. You don't get to choose what? I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to see. I might have missed the rest of it. Hello, Ricky. How you doing? How you doing, Key Troy? How you doing, Ransom? If I didn't say so already, right? Like, sovereign is as sovereign does. You said what you do every day. Well, I mean, I don't know what the level of it is. I'd have to talk to you. I mean, it's going to be hard to kind of get that through a thing of a limited choice. I would say this, that even when I had decisions that I could make. I could have done 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. I could have done the military for the rest of my life. I could have been homeless for the rest of my life, in all honesty. You know, but there's a being, and a lot of times what happens is we're in a system, and being within that system, what happens is that we have allowed the system to make choices for us, and now we think that there's no way to do anything outside of the system. And thanks, babe. Appreciate that. Right. Like, so we there's a system, and we got into a place to where we've said we can't come out that system. And look, I was there. I'm not saying that I'm better off than anybody else. I'm telling you, I get it. I remember what it was to be like, man, if I could just get a 9 to 5. And you know what's crazy, now that I look back, every time I tried to do a 9 to 5, the Most High canceled it. I always thought it was me. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought, like, I had people that would tell me it's this. I had family members that'd be like, you just don't want to try hard enough. I had church members that were like, well, we're praying for you. It's a spiritual war, this and that. And you know what? I was going against the Spirit. Like, the Holy Spirit did not want me involved in that whatsoever. Like, I'm telling you, I tried. I still sometimes, because I wouldn't mind having a 9 to 5. It's gonna have to be WABEN, but it would have to be where I could still travel and do everything I want to do. So I wouldn't give up, so I'd have to basically be everything on my time. I guess it wouldn't be a 9 to 5, but like, I've tried even somewhat recently, every once in a while, I put a resume out there, this and that. And my resume now is strong. I mean, I run, in essence, we are an organization that I'm been charged with by the Most High. And I'm able to run stuff and help people in different countries. I've helped people with other work that doesn't even have to do with SOC. We've made sure that the people wanted to get vaccinations, that they could. If they didn't, we made sure they didn't have to. We made sure that people have ate. We've given out money to people. We've done life coaching. We've done all time. I mean, my resume is strong. However, like, that world is not really for me, right? Like, if it messes up my sovereignty, it's not really for me. So, I probably would never do anything outside of something contractual and something for just a limited amount of time. Every time I get injuries. I've got like hernia issues and stuff that I'm still, I'm getting better at healing this time, because I'm being more pragmatic and stuff as far as doing it. But there's like, you have to see what your being is, and you have to start watching what you're supposed to do. And a lot of times we're trying to become something that's not for us. Right. You said I'm so entrenched in the system for so long, it's hard to break away. That's the actual truth. Yeah. You know, you said you watched TED Talk today about entrepreneurship. Not easy, just try. Yeah. You know, and even something like that, you know, like the people that you work for at some point, somebody in their family or somebody who started the business or whatever, they had to just try, you know. They had to, like my wife is saying, you know, sometimes you have to. Now it depends on what you're being called to do. If you don't feel like you're being led to do this or whatever, don't feel like you're going to do this today. I'm not here telling you, hey, just get rid of your job right now. Just start your business today and don't worry about going to work and tell them F that job and all that stuff. You ain't get that from me. Okay. So I'm just making that clear. I didn't say all that. However, we have to recognize that like anything you do in life is risky business. It comes to being sovereign. Sovereignty is risky business because you're not going to be part of the system. It means that you have to be self-sufficient, what they say, even though technically it's not really self-sufficient if the Most High is keeping you, especially if you're with the community that's keeping you and that's going to do business with you as well, which is part of why we got to get this stuff together. Yeah, exactly. You know, you got to be willing to work 24 hours instead of 8. You got to be willing to do stuff. Real talk. Said SOC is Servants of Christ, right? Name of the organization. You gotta recognize that even when you're going through these things, I want you to hear this, right? Like you're gonna have stuff to where you got to figure out how to be a spouse and a parent and deal with other family members and do all types of stuff and still make sure that stuff is going right. Like at the job, they actually separate you from family. You got to figure out how to teach your like last night. I was doing a class, Hebrew characters class. My son was being his age, right? So he's active. Had to try and sit him down, answer questions. Started getting into something else that was kind of outside the class. Had to try and get that together while making sure he's together. Had to simultaneously be realizing, oh yeah, we only got a certain time frame. Had to start thinking about what I need to do for tomorrow. Had to at the same time, you know, my back has been like giving me a little bit of issue. So it got a lot better, but I've been trying to like, you know, be on the floor and stuff and do some stretches and do some things and sleep in a little different manner for a little bit every once in a while. But that's and guess what? While I was trying to do that yesterday, while I was making sure that I was preparing myself, watching stuff that I feel like has nothing to do with me whatsoever, but preparing myself because I got to talk about it on a for those that are on Patreon later today, in our live session, for those that will join the Patreon members later on. And I'm trying to do all those things or whatever, right? I'm still throughout the whole day on the phone. Let me call this person. Let me call that person. Let me make sure I do this. Hey, people that are taking Sovereignty 1 class, they got to make sure that they get there. We got to make sure everybody's finished up with that. Hey, people who are coming to the convocation, we got to make sure we do that. Like, that's my day, all day. Before that happened, I had to make sure I was outside spending time with my son, making sure he was getting outside and playing. That like I have to make sure that my wife and I have time to where she sees me and she knows that I believe in her and she knows that I think she's beautiful and I hear what she has to say and all these different things so that she knows that I'm paying attention to her. Make sure that she gets sent something so she knows that she's protected and secured and things. Like you got to do all these different things and you're still running. Like it's still important that SOC, right? It's still important that SOC is functioning and moving, right? That's entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship doesn't stop. See, when you work for somebody else, when you stop, they get to, somebody else takes over. When you're the person on top, anytime something goes wrong, if somebody goes to a mental institution, guess what? Guess what they're gonna say? I got to get in contact with me, right? If somebody deals with a death in the family, somebody's gonna get in touch with me. If somebody catches COVID or something, somebody's gonna get in touch with me, right? Even if somebody's trying to contact my wife, who's gonna be the herbalist, somebody's gonna get in touch with me. You said jealous is a cancer? Okay, I don't comprehend what jealous has to do with the conversation, Chief Dr. Stone. If you can help me out, that was I talking about jealousy? I might have missed it. Forgive me. I'm not trying to be facetious or anything. I legit just don't know what you're talking about, right? But what I'm saying is that, um, if you're talking about your being, you said having a business of those who can't stand seeing you win will try to pull you down. Or that's what you're talking about. You'll deal with that, sure. I guess I would, yeah, I wasn't really talking about that, but yeah, of course, that's part of it too. But the focus of it is like talking about our being, right? Oh, having others that will support you. Well, yeah, but having children, children will support you the best they can, but a little child is not going to act like a 21-year-old, right? So I'm saying that there are times that I have to do business, and I still got to have my little boy in my arms, right? I still got to make sure my little girl knows that she's loved. I still got to make sure that the teenagers or the adults, they got to know that they're loved and appreciated and things of that nature, right? So, I'm just trying to say we've got to recognize and comprehend overall that we're dealing with the being, right? What will you become? People talk about sovereignty. Sovereignty is more than just a piece of paper. It's become, right? It's become. What are you going to become with this? What is your vision? A lot of people ask questions, well, how do I know where I'm going, this and that, or whatever? Okay, what is it that you see? What have you, what is it that you see? I don't know. I just can't see anything. Okay, what environment? Like, do you at all take, and when I talk to people, it's very interesting. Like something as simple as how much time do you just get away from everybody and do something for yourself? Like, how can you see something that only you can see if you never take time out for yourself? That means that you're not being yourself, right? You got to be a sovereign being. How can you be yourself and you never taken time out to see who you are? This isn't like popular speech, but it's one of the things that will help correct your path. You know how many sisters I hear, oh, I'm frustrated, this and that, my children, da da da. And I'll be like, okay, how much time, when's the last time you went and did something for yourself? Ooh, I don't know. Brothers do it too. We just do it differently, right? But how you gonna know what the vision is? Or you know what the vision is, you're like, but I just don't have time to do it. Well, make time. I can't make time. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I can't even sleep. Blah blah. Okay, what time do you get up in the rising? Well, I get up 6 a.m. I get up 7 a.m. Okay, get up 5:45 a.m. and pray. I mean, I can't do, I don't get enough rest as it. Look, if you're telling me that you only getting 5 hours, 6 hours of sleep as is, all right, it ain't gonna kill you to give up 15 more minutes. Get up early. Write down the vision and make it plain. I don't know what the vision is. Write down what you hear. Write down what you see. Write down what you recognize. Make a journal of it. Go back and study the journal. I told you I don't have any time. How am I going to study the journal? Fine. The next day that you get up, take the first 5 minutes of your 15 minutes and study what you wrote down, and then use the next 10 minutes to write out some more stuff. You have to be something. You got to figure out who you be. How do you become and you don't know who you be? I'm telling you. How do you believe and you don't know who you be? Mm. See, compound word, believe. you know, we don't think about these things. How do you become something? Do you hear me? How am I going to become something? Proper English. Where you be at today? Where do you be at today? Did you take time out of your schedule this rising before you came on? Or will you do so after you get off? Or if you need to shut this off for 10, 15 minutes and then come back on? But did you take time today to make sure that you saw where you are? You said you are well, I are well, right? You hear what I'm saying? Where are you? If you want to say where you are physically, fine. I'm more concerned about mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Where are you today? Right? Do you know that your emotions are based off of the way that your mind physically is reacting to what's going on in the soul? The word soul is psyche in the Greek. It's psyche. Psychology is the study of the soul. So, right? Have you studied your own soul? Have you studied your own passions? Have you sought who you are? Have you sought you? That's why we say stuff like, where your affirmations at? Because even if your affirmations are basically saying, I might not be that at this moment. In other words, like I'm eternal, right? So I can be something in this particular moment, right? But I also want to be something in the future as well. So I'm going to become. Becoming is I'm going to go from what I am being today to being the next day. And so the affirmations are just basically me saying that I agree, that I touch and agree with basically what I'm going to become. But I got to know where I be, right? I got to know what I be. A lot of people don't recognize it, right? A lot of people don't recognize it. We're not aware of it. We don't comprehend who we be. I know I'm being very repetitive right now, but I want you to get this, right? I want you to get this. Okay. So I want you to get this, right? Check this out. Check this out. So the word leave, Lieve, leave. Leave is a Dutch language feminine name. So to leave is a name, right? Derived from God de leave. So God is Dutch, Germanic type language, right? And it's saying God believe. That's what it actually comes from. So when somebody says you believe, you're actually saying I believe in God, right? The leave part, right? But it was a female 11th century Flemish saint. So her name was Leave. The masculine given name is probably a word of leaven. Both names contain the Germanic element leaf. That's where you get belief from. So when you're talking about leave, it's more Dutch. When you're talking about leaf, it's more Germanic. It's the same thing. In English, remember, English is just a mix of words because English was always conquered by different. The English were always conquered by different people before they themselves started conquering other people, right? So, so you have leave is Dutch, leaf is Germanic, and leaf and leave still retain that meaning even in Dutch. Okay. So leave. That's what you're talking about. Leave. So if somebody says I believe, really what it's saying is they actually believe because it's part of something that used to mean God believe. You can even say "de" is something even sometimes can be like from, right? So leave de God. Like leave, this woman named Leave, she believed in God, right? That's what was going on there, right? So your be leave, so to speak, your leave is talking about your oh thanks, baby. Your basically talking about this woman who had a strong belief. That's what leave really is talking about. When you say I believe, you're saying like I have this really strong belief in the most high, right? In their language, they would say God believe, right? Or believe. That's where it really comes from. So it's a compound word. So really, when we're putting there, when we take out God did and put be there, what we're saying is that we be leave. We are becoming like this person named Leave, who is known for her faith in the Most High. We are the embodiment of leave. That's really what you're saying. So you might not even want to use that term. I guess some people might get freaked out by that, but that's what we're saying. When you say you believe, that's somebody's culture. That's why you always got to know the culture, right? But you have to become to believe, right? We even belittle, we befriend, right? What are you being? Even being, right? Like the fabric of your being. Some people say, I believe this, or I will do this with every fabric of my being. Question for you: what are you being? Like I said, this isn't a flashy word today, but prayerfully it's going to meet you where you are, right? Those who will be able to receive this and or receive this, right, and be able to study it, that you might be able to receive it. Please, like take this on, because when we talk about sovereignty, this is what sovereignty is. Sovereignty is talking about your being. So now that we've made that a point to say over and over and over again, kings and queens, sovereigns, masters, teachers, Yashdel, etc. Now that we talked about that, now we can start going into the stuff when everybody asks about how do I get past this system? How do we come out of it? First of all, we got to ask you: are you willing to be the embodiment of belief and be the embodiment of faith in the Most High? Because it takes faith in the Most High to step out of a wicked, perverted, corrupt system. It does. My wife said our ancestors, prisoners of wars, were trying to leave us a message by keeping their speech the way it was. Mm-hmm. Said, a woman that taught etymology of bless as be less. I'd have to read that one. I'm not sure. Could be right. I've just never seen that before. Right. Yeah, and Ebonics can even put us closer to our culture. Amen. Right. So when we talk about this and all the stuff as far as sovereignty, now the question is, what are you willing to be today? How you doing, Dennis? Today, what are you willing to be? And what steps are you willing to be? What steps are you willing to take? Sure. What steps are you willing to be? You have the ability today to be something that you've never been before. Did you know that? I'm sorry. It's O'Neill Hurston. Interviewed last living prisoner of war, and she refused to change his words. He refused to change his words. Amen. Okay. Yeah. Right. So we have the stuff from our ancestors to help us as far as our clue of where we can be, right? And they had to be who they had to be. So I'm sorry, Zora Neale Hurston. Okay, so her words, her book wasn't published until 2018. Wow. Okay, so go ahead and check out Zora Neale Hurston. Amen. Amen. So they had to be who they had to be. Now, question: who do you have to be today? Okay, she died in 1960. They didn't publish her book until 2018. Right? So they wanted to hide some of that stuff from you. So go check that out when you get a chance. How you doing, Knight? So once again, what are you willing to be today? She had to be who she was in her time. What do you have to be today? My wife said, "I be glorious." As in herself, she be glorious, right? What are you going to be today, right? Because that's great. That's a great step, right? Better than I was yesterday. Okay. So once again, so now we're putting this stuff out there. I be glorious. Better than I was yesterday. Somebody might say, I'm going to make more money today. Somebody says, I'm going to work on my business today. Somebody says, I'm going to found something today. Somebody says, I'm going to appreciate my children harder. Somebody says, I'm going to ensure that I'm a great example on the job. Somebody says, I'm going to be grateful. I saw it pop up. I'm going to be successful. I'm on all that. That's great. So now that we said we're going to be that, what is your vision plan? What are you planning today and you're going to make happen? What's on your calendar? What's in your mindset? What are you not going to allow distractions to stop you from today? Have you planned even I'm going to be intentional in my purpose? Amen. All that, right? So what have you done to be specific? What specifically are you going to do today to make sure that those things happen? Have you planned even for the distractions? I'll speak positively about you. Amen. Right. So what have you even planned for the distractions? I need you to see this, right? Sovereignty is being, sovereign being, like a human being, a sovereign being, right? In order to become and be that today, right? What have you mapped out? What have you said? This is what I'm going to do today. If you're going to wait for the live to be over, okay, as soon as the live is over, I'm going to speak positivity to myself. Okay, so for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, for 5 minutes, whatever, I've decided that I'm going to tell everybody, hey, give mom, give dad, give break, whatever. I'm going to put my phone on do not disturb or whatever for 5 minutes. I'm just going to speak positive. While I'm going through this, I'm writing out affirmations. I'm writing things about myself. I'm going to find the mirror somewhere. I'm going to use my phone and flip it and look at myself, whatever I got to do. And I'm going to be positive, and nobody will stop me. Nobody will stop me throughout this process. I have made up my mind that nothing's going to stop me, right? None of these stuff. No principality is going to stop me. None of this, right? For I am persuaded that what I need to do is going to get done, right? If I'm going to seek the truth, okay, this is the truth that I'm looking for today. Because truth is, I'm trying to tell you sovereignty, right? You got to be specific in being. Be specific. What is the specificity, right? So I'm going to seek truth. What truth? What is the truth? And watch this, not just random truth, because that's not for your being. What is the truth what is it that you're looking for that supports your being? Amen. Somebody said they'd be courageous, courage, right? All these things, right? So what are the things we're going to develop? Somebody says, I want, like, there's people out there, for example, that'll say, hey, we need to, as a community, be ready to defend ourselves. Let's just go ahead and just get these people. Let's just go ahead and do this or whatever. And it's like, well, okay, so what's your being? What's your vision? Write down the vision, make it plain. Make it plain for me. I don't mind supporting, right? Like I'll go to war tomorrow if you're ready, but I'm not going to war and I'm not taking my children with me and telling other people put their children out there and telling my brothers put their life on the line, and you just out there like just shoot randomly, and you ain't gonna make sure that you got any kind of militia together, any kind of ranking system, any kind of making sure these people have been vetted. Like, no, I'm not just going in there for whatever. You know, we got to come in this thing together, and we got to have a vision. The vision has to be written down in plain so that those of us that see it and receive the vision plainly, we can pick it up and read it and run with it. Right? We can take what you're saying and we can be able to make something happen. Right? But people just say whatever, right? Even when people talk about like truth and my truth and stuff. Well, if you're seeking your truth, then your truth's not really going to be valuable to you, because your truth doesn't mean it's the truth. Right? If we're seeking the truth. So once again, even like when you say my truth, maybe you mean culturally. What is my truth? Okay, so you're going to find out what your culture is. If you say you're Afrocentric, what does that mean? Are you talking Alkebulan? Are you talking Ethiopia? Are you talking Kemet? By the way, those were the names that are used for all of what you now call Africa. Are you talking African? Are you talking Zulu? Are you talking Angolan? Are you talking Congo? Are you talking Nigeria? Are you talking Yoruba? Are you talking Shwi? Are you talking Ashanti? Are you talking Ashanti Shwi? Are you talking Mali? Are you talking about Ghana? Are you talking about the original Ghana? You know, whatever your culture is ultimately what I'm saying. Hello, Shalom, Chef. How you doing? Ultimately, right? You've got to be a being. You've got to be. What are you trying to be? What are your plans today? Like whatever you have planned today, what is it going to cause you to be? Right? Whatever you have planned today, what is it going to cause you to be? Whatever you have planned today, can I say that again? What is it going to cause you to be? Your plans. You're talking about sovereignty. You're talking about being able to be over your own domain. You're talking about owning your land. You're talking about investments. You're talking about being able to travel as you see fit. All these different things. You're talking about traveling over driving, right? You're talking about if only driving if I got to be part of a company. All these different things that people might even comprehend. First things first, like what is your goal? See, the ultimate goal of a sovereign is to be able to do what they're called to do. See, sovereigns are better at the law than those who are in the public. Private citizens are better at the law than public citizens. It's not that I don't have to obey law. That's not what sovereignty is. Sovereignty means that that the law protects me in my calling. So I work harder than others do, right? But my work doesn't feel like toiling. People who have jobs, they toil. People who have work, they work. People think when they go to the job, you work. No, your work is what you would do even if you would do it for free. Just because you don't get paid for something doesn't mean that you don't work, right? We know that. Right? Somebody would tell you raising a child is hard work. They would say that, right? They would say moving on moving day, moving furniture can be hard work. They would say going to the gym, that they can be, you got to put in work, right? But going to your job, that's not necessarily work. That's toiling. To toil means I'm doing it just because. That's where this word job, or even the name, it comes from the name Job or Job. All right, Prince, you have a great day. Job or Job is talking about the fact that Job, he had to toil. That's what they're using, the same word. When you go to work, they're talking about job. Job chapter 1 and 2, Job chapter 41 and 42. That's usually what we do, is we just skip from there and go all the way to the other one. Don't talk about anything in between. But a lot of people are okay with toiling. Not working, but toiling. Right? And the goal of a sovereign, watch this. You know what helps me as a sovereign? My wife and I followed a simplistic mindset that basically meant that we took care of certain bills already, so that we don't really have that many bills left anymore. So we live better off of less. Because once you have some land, once you have residence, once you have proper, whatever you want to call it, it's a little different, right? I don't have to worry about certain things. It's a little different than what everybody else is out here doing. right? You're trying to be self-sufficient. You're not self-sufficient because we want to be a community, we want to be under the Most High, but what they call self-sufficient, right? You want to be able to go and do your own thing. At some point, like, see, we have to get to a point where we start even thinking about things as far as like we need to have oil, right? We used to have a beautiful young black girl that grew into a wonderful black woman and black wife and all that stuff, and she had oil. Why don't we have a lot of black oil that's just coming from black people and that can be less in price and stuff for us? We don't have anybody that owns any anymore. So when the gas prices go up, of course they're going to go up for everybody, including you, because you don't have oil. So you as a community can't really be sovereign when it comes to oil. You got to go to somebody else. If they say you're going to pay $6 a gallon, I guess that's what you're going to pay. Some of y'all that got certain types of vehicles out there, y'all paying $10 a gallon and stuff, depending on where you are. That's what you got to do because you don't have. Remember, we talked about this before. Stop saying that you have a black community if the black community or the black people that live there don't actually own the community. If you don't own the buildings, it's not a black community. That's the problem. We lift up. I don't mind lifting up the people that live in the project, but lifting up the project is a problem. Because what does that have to do with your being? Why would you think that a place that see, I need you to see even these words, right? Once again, these words make sense if we use them correctly, right? I need you to comprehend. Why do you think that it's a great thing why do we lift that up? That man, I can't, Mace still says if he wants to, he could go back to the project. Fat Joe always talking about, man, I'm a project legend. That's who I am. My mom, she didn't even want to come up out of there, man. She still want to live up there. My grandmama, she ain't want to move. Fat Joe, I go back there. Fat Joe does a lot of great things for the community. Don't get it twisted, right? However, like, yeah, I go back and I do this, the project. Biggie talking about, yeah, I can go back to the project, all this stuff. But why would you want to lift up a place that makes your people a project? If somebody wanted to we have a sovereignty class. It's kind of, we're kind of in the middle of it, so it depends on how much the person would want to like watch recordings and stuff to catch up, and they'd have to do a one-on-one with me too to catch up, and $90 donation. We have all that stuff, by the way, too. If you want information on the classes, there's ways of getting in contact with us in the description box on YouTube, also on TikTok. All you have to do is just go on there, click, go on TikTok, click where it says website. That's our link tree. Click on the link tree. It says classes or whatever, second semester classes or classes, something like that. Click on that, and as soon as you do that, it has a bunch of information, and then it even pops up where you can look at what the curriculum actually is as well, and you can get in contact with us. So if you want to do that, feel free, right? But I'm trying to get you to comprehend why do we uplift project when you're the project? Okay, why do we uplift the project and you're the project? They're saying you're their project, the people who own it. Who owns your project? Do you own it? You hear what I'm saying? Do you own it? We quick to be like, represent Cabrini, right? Cabrini Green, represent why am I forgetting the one in Southeast that a lot of people know by name? Uh it'll come back to me, you know. I come from over there, right off of a 73rd, blah blah, all this stuff or whatever. And that has nothing to do with you. You don't own that. You were a project there. They like to see how many people talk about it all the time. Southside Chicago, they killing this and all this stuff or whatever. Man, you know how many times they put guns out there? The police do that. They put guns in baskets and alleys, and then they put bullets not too far from it or whatever. And then they set up a system where these people can't live right. People talking about, oh, the D just got problems and this and that. Do you know that the median over there, like when we go over there, right, we're going to be dealing with the community. We're going over there because that's our community, that's our people. So we're going over to the D, right? And when we went over there, we got shown love. And y'all saw when I was doing the live, right? Those people that were stopping by in that hotel, it was in Troy, admittedly, right? But that hotel I was at, a lot of those cats that were stopping by and saying something and asking for the number and saying we want to listen to your stuff and how to do this, when y'all saw us doing the lives, and that was happening from time to time, and then people were talking to me even after and before sometimes. Guess what? Those were cats from the D that were part of programs, and the programs were trying to take them just to another city where they could see something a little different, because the median income over there is $6,000 a year. I didn't know that till Pastor Hamilton told me that, right? That's the median over there. Those people over there are being treated like a project. People will come there to watch the Detroit Lions lose, put all that money into that. It will go and will drive, travel, skip, walk right past the people who have nothing. And then we wonder and we make fun of the girls that are out there selling themselves, or talking about a girl will do anything, something strange for some change, and she'll do something for $5. $5 for a sexual act over there is a lot more money than what you think if the median is only $6,000. Don't get it twisted. You see, you think the woman that's trying to live and be a millionaire but sell her body but still be a millionaire, you think that because she charges $100,000 for her body is different than the girl that charges $5 for her body. If one lives in a place where the median is 6,000, one lives in a place where the median is, I don't know, 5 million, like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, right? I'm trying to get you to see, like, both of them are the same, dealing with the same type of being, or not knowing who they should be. You said, why is there so much poverty around their nation's capital? Yeah. One of the worst places for, even though I guess they take better care of people over there, but one of the worst places as far as you'll see homelessness is right downtown DC. Go to a Washington Wizards game, or what's the team? A Washington Capitals game, or something like that. Go down there to that, and I promise you're gonna see. Sometimes you can't tell that they're homeless, right? But there's a McDonald's over there. Go past the McDonald's, just walk past the McDonald's. Don't walk into the McDonald's. I'm talking about just walk past the McDonald's and see how many people you're going to see there nodding off. See how many people you're going to see there drugged out. See how many people you're going to see that ask you for some change, right? That's your capital. For those of you who say you're American, that's what they say your being is. You're a project. That's why they put you in the project. And that's why you lift up the project. Downtown Miami as well. Yep. If you want to see a really, really bad place, I was surprised when I went there initially, not anymore. But when I went there, I wasn't expecting to see it. Denver, Colorado, one of the worst places for homelessness. I don't care what your color is down there. You're going to see some people down there, some homelessness. And if you try to help somebody, if you're from out of town and you try to help somebody, they will yell at you. They will fuss at you. They will cuss you out, because they don't want anybody who's homeless there thinking that they should be able to get any money from them. Yeah, my wife, we went there together. She said Denver was horrific, and they did not want us giving anybody anything. Go to Atlanta, right? We went to the W Hotel in Atlanta, right? Go over there. And here's the funny thing, though. They'll tell you all that stuff, right? San Francisco. Oh yeah, San Francisco, Oaktown, right? Go right across that bridge. All that stuff, right? But here's the deal. And all the stuff we're talking, we can keep going to. If you were to go to Phoenix, if you were to go to Helena, if you were to go to New York, right? Any of the 5 boroughs, et cetera, right? Especially New York City, though. Or well, not New York City, but what is that? With the big, where they do why am I forgetting? Times Square, right? Times Square, really bad. Interesting thing, though. Go over to some of these African countries that they keep telling you that, and I'm not saying we don't have any homeless problems, right? But go over to some of these places over there. Go to some of these places over there. Go over to, they were so busy. They were telling us when we were going to go to Africa, right? Oh, you're going to go over there. You better make sure you get a shot. You better make sure you take these pills. There's going to be mosquitoes going around everywhere. I'm getting bit by more mosquitoes now than I ever saw in Ghana. We were there for weeks, right? Weeks. Because if you're going somewhere, you don't go over there, especially like you're going back home. Don't go back home for a couple of days. I was thinking about doing it. My wife was like, no, we're going to go. And we spent weeks. Oh, thanks, babe. And we told you go there for weeks. I'm trying to tell you, right? Like, and when you go over there, I think I heard a mosquito. I think, because I didn't see it. Came back to DC, and DC, which is swampland, and came back to Baltimore. Every time I go to DC, to Baltimore, I'm gonna get bit a whole bunch. You're gonna get bit a whole bunch of times. Oh, you're gonna get bit a whole bunch of times. Went over to Africa, didn't get bit at all. Well, you don't have to get the shots. What'd you say? Yeah, you can get an exemption. Yeah. Yeah. So you can get an exemption. And from the shot or whatever, it's just a form. They don't tell you that though. They also gave us pills or whatever. We bought them, but we didn't use them. They were like malaria pills. They're like, oh, you can go over there. You need to take this pill or whatever. Not one mosquito didn't get bit one time. Like right out here, right now, I'm doing this. I'm trying my best not to do this because I'm here getting bit, right? But over there, there's no mosquitoes over there.
There's iguanas.
There's iguanas. There's all types of stuff. There's stuff you can do. You can grab trees and brush your teeth, but there's all types of stuff over there, right? But as far as mosquitoes and stuff, it's funny. We had family members down. This is completely ignorant. We were laughing at this when they were telling us this. We didn't believe it, but we had family members, or I guess people married in the family, how you want to look at it, that were like, "Oh, you're gonna go over there, and there's the wildlife," and they were talking about we were gonna be walking down the street and see I mean, people, and it's black folk, right? Like, and you're like, how ignorant, but it's because you're not aware of your being. Even your teaching is not sovereign, right? Well, I mean, I wasn't. I didn't. Well, I'll leave that alone. I was going. Yeah, I never really even thought of that as like whatever. Like and we didn't really together. But I guess we ended up asking. But like, yeah, like where's lion? How close is this wildlife? And they were like, we never seen a lion. Like they were like. Yeah, we like what never, and then one of them was like, "Well, I guess if you want to go to a zoo," but some of them never been to a zoo, so they were like, and a zoo's not as big a deal over there as it is over here. So they were like, "No, like I've never seen one. I know what it is, but why would I worry about it?" There were people that were from Ghana, our people, who were trying to tell us, which I knew that was nonsense when I heard it, but we're trying to tell us when you go over there, you got to be careful. There's going to be dogs just running around the street. There's gonna be wild dogs running around everywhere. Like there's just dogs. I think I saw one or two dogs total. I think one definitely belonged to somebody. I think one might have been on its own, and it wasn't out trying to bite anybody. It was afraid of people. It was like trying to make sure, not even afraid. It was just trying to make sure that, hey, y'all don't mess with me. I don't mess with you, right? But even our teaching is not sovereign, right? Even our teaching is not sovereign. Okay. So I'm just trying to say all these things to get you to comprehend, like sovereign, like we said earlier, it sounds funny, but sovereign is as sovereign does, right? Like you have to be sovereign. What is your being, right? What is your being? We're not even in a position to talk about freedom because we're not in a position to be free. Like freedom starts here. It starts here. Really, it's here and then translates to here. Remember your mind, your spirit, your mind. If you want to talk about your brain, you have like a brain up here and you got your second brain down here, right? They work in tandem. That's why you have gut feelings, gut instincts, things like that, right? You said you've seen dogs wandering in Chicago. Yeah, creating tender people. Yeah, so even in that, right? But we don't have a ability to think as ourselves, to feel. Emotion is when your body reacts to what you actually think, right? Or what you believe. But you have to be culturally correct. So whatever whatever your embodiment of faith in the Most High is going to be ultimately based upon your culture. Yeah, gut or mesentery rather. Your second brain, right? Like you got to be something, and the problem is that we're not being, right? Even in this, I didn't mean to really grab this as just something I'm grabbing and I like, but even in this, like this is something that shouldn't be a problem for us. But there'd be some people that would see this and be like, "Oh, I don't want to show up with that because somebody tried to make fun of us because we have spears." Or there's somebody that would say, "Oh, I don't want to show up with watermelon because somebody might say that we're bad." Or I don't want to make sure I drink grape soda because if I drink grape soda, you know how they say. Or I don't want to do, and I don't want to have chicken, grape soda, watermelon. Oh wow, but it's like if that's like who cares what they say? Is your being based upon what somebody else says? We were talking about this when we were talking about the what Dr. Sebi said and how he won his case against with the Supreme Court. Um, you have to recognize like that you're dealing wait with the that he said like when they were saying basically the Supreme Court's argument against Dr. Sebi. How you doing, Lemony? The Supreme Court's argument against Dr. Sebi was very simple, right? Or not the Supreme Court, but the people who were coming against him, right? They was very simple. They tried to basically say, hey, um, Dr. Sebi's not allowed to, he shouldn't be allowed to give that stuff as medicine here. And Dr. Sebi actually agreed with them. And this is something, this is sovereignty. This is court case. This is where your mindset comes in. And he said he got this from his mother. So his mother taught him how to be ready for court. It was something passed down generationally, right? So this is how he got that mission done, right? He said, yeah, you're absolutely right. He said, Your Honor, they're absolutely right. I should not be able to give this food here in the United States of America. The judge looked at him crazy. Like, do you realize what you just said? She asked him, like, do you realize what you just said? Thanks for being part of the community today, Alicia. Appreciate you, right? She said, do you realize what you just said? She said, do you realize that you basically just said that your medicine, you just said that you're guilty, that your medicine should not be allowed to be here? He said, yeah, because he was talking about according to their system. Then what he said is, may I ask you a question, Your Honor? She said, yes. He said, did Black people get taken, right, whether they're indigenous, whether they're from another part of the Americas, whether they're from Africa, whether they're from Australia, etc.? He's like, did Black people get taken from where they were and get put somewhere else? She said, well, yeah, I don't see the point of it. He said, well, Your Honor, like, and this is why I always tell people when you talk about sovereignty and stuff, you get before a judge, be like Columbo, like ask questions, you know, knowing that you're getting to where it's going to go, right? So he says, okay, so isn't that also true, Your Honor, that Black people, if they were taken from Africa, right, they would have been removed from their culture? She says, yes, right? She still doesn't know where this is going. He says, okay, Your Honor, did Black people, when they were taken from Africa, did they have their food taken with them? She says, no, I guess not. Right. And what he said, he used, what was it you call gene something? I forget what it is, but it's like basically meaning that like gene, not gene DNA, but something. But basically, we actually have it on one of our things. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can look it up because we just did it somewhat recently, right? But it's called gene something. But we talked about genetic gene food distribution. That's what it is. And we talked about spiritual food distribution. It's on one of our things for this FAQ series. But he talked about gene distribution, right? Or gene food distribution, genetic food. In other words, certain people have certain food that they should eat because all food is medicine and all bodies are different. Therefore, different bodies should desire different types of food. So he said, if you took a group of people from their food, right, then it means that those people are going to be sick, which is why Black people are very high in this and this and this and this and this and this all over the place. So he says, and how you doing, Sister Dawn? He says, well, he said, though, so we should make sure that I give them food, right? He says I should give them food that they shouldn't be allowed to have here because they should have never been brought here in the first place. He says, so I agree with them, Your Honor, that I should never have had to have brought our food from other parts of America, from Caribbean, from Australia, from Africa, from Europe, whatever, from Asia. I should have never had to bring those foods over here because those people should have never been taken away from their food. And the judge said, you're right. Case dismissed. Sovereignty. Why? Because he talked about it from his being. You said no such thing as a sovereign argument without steel men's argument because they will straw man your. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's getting into just, I mean, terminology. I mean, I get what you're saying as far as you're talking more so as far as how you present a case. Sovereignty, once again, is more about your being, right? A sovereign person should have a type of argument, sure. Right, but you can be sovereign and not have to make a steelman's argument. Now, if you're in court, a sovereign should make a steelman's argument, right? But I think we're talking more so about two different things. We're talking about the same thing. We're agreeing. We're just getting into the weeds a little bit, right? But long story short, we can see that if you comprehend who you be, see, a sovereign being is different than somebody who's sovereign on paper. A lot of people, do you know there's a lot of people that are actually sovereign on paper that still are getting the brake speed off of them, still losing their land, still losing their mind? There's a lot of people that's sovereign on paper and still getting their stuff taken. Because also one of the things that we should be as sovereign as a community. There's certain communities that aren't going to lose stuff. And you say, why do they have this? You know why? Because they don't mind being together. We didn't used to mind being together. Matter of fact, you used to be forced, in a sense, to somewhat. You weren't officially, but somewhat. You were sovereign when you had to be segregated because you had to focus on what you wanted to be. Yeah, we were in agreement. That's what I was saying. Yeah, we're agreeing on the same thing. So, and how you doing for real? So we had to, like, we were, when we were segregated, we had to be ourselves. We were forced to. As much as some people still wanted to be white by the social construct, they still weren't allowed to be. So you had to be yourself. It was okay to speak that jive, right? It was all right to wear suits the way you wanted to wear them. It was all right to wear dashikis and stuff. It was all right to be able to teach about Africa. It was all right to be able to teach about the natives. It was all right to be able to teach your culture and your language. It was all right to say black and black business and black church, because that's what it was. Matter of fact, T, when the only reason why we have to say black church or support black business or support, protect black women and all, the only reason you have to say that is because you don't have a culture, you don't have a system set up to where your woman is the pinnacle. And every other culture does. I know somebody not gonna like this or whatever, but that's what happens. Like, when you ever noticed these videos that come out where you have white women that are threatened and they start saying, "Well, I'm gonna call myself queen. What's up, queen? What's up, queen? This is queen. What's up, queen?" They start calling each other queen. They're threatened by the fact that there's somebody saying there's a society that exists to where white is not the pinnacle. If you go to China, Chinese woman is the pinnacle, and that's okay because you're in China. You go to Japan, Japanese woman is the pinnacle. Even though they try to look white and stuff like that and stuff too, at the end of the day, though, they're okay with certain Japanese features. They're okay with teeth looking different than what you and I think teeth have to look like. If you go to England, English woman, she's the pinnacle. If her teeth look a little different, this and that or whatever, nobody cares. Why? Because that's not as big a deal over there, right? What you think perfection is different than what somebody else thinks perfection is. But you don't have a system set up that's sovereign enough, right? You don't have a system set up that allows your being, who you be, to be presented. So we're constantly, consistently chasing somebody else's standards for beauty, for acumen, smarts, intelligence quotient, all these different things. Emotional quotient, if you want to go there, for those of you who believe that might be your thing, where we're looking for everybody else because you don't have a place that's your standard. I'm sorry, Curly, you said I knew that bother you for me for a reason, but I wasn't able to form it into words. Yeah. Like, because we don't have a place. Like, why is it that we have to say protect black women? First of all women should feel secure. Our black women should feel secure. Our Israelite women should feel secure. Moorish women should feel secure, etc. Right? All women, their number one need, right? I'm not well, heavy majority of women's number one need is to feel secure, right? However, how do you make your woman feel secure, even if you try your best, if you don't have her in a place to where she can be to herself and she can be with other women that believe what she believes in? See how sovereign is a being. How can your black woman be protected if she's never a standard? Of course, of course, like you're in a situation, like people say, why is it that people talk about black women and their hips and their nose and stuff, but then when you wear our hips and you got to get injections and stuff, and you get your stuff together to look like us, and you get a tan and wear blackface and now all of a sudden everybody want to say that you're sexy. Why? When I do it naturally, you know why? Because you're not the standard. Anything. I need you to comprehend anything, not just white. I'm talking about anything a white woman does in a white society, it is considered to be the standard because the white woman herself is the standard. You have to have something for yourself. And people don't want to work towards that. People don't want to help when it comes to land. People always talking about we're going to get our own land, this and that. You know how hard we've been working, how diligent we've been working, just trying to get people to give a tiny bit of something here or there just so we can get land. You think that a white woman with a straight body is a standard. No, that's why the slave masters, when they had these prisoners of war who we call slaves and stuff, right? That's why the slave master, he was raping them. He was contracted to their hips and stuff like that. But he was never going to let you be what, even though he wouldn't have more sex with you, and he wanted to have more children with you, and he wanted to have more conversation with you. He talked with you more than he would talk to his own wife. Just like when these brothers out here, they go to the strip club, and a lot of them don't even want to have sex with the stripper. They just want to talk to him because they feel like the stripper at least will be listened to him, and the stripper will listen to him because they paid to, right? But he was like, hey, my wife, she ain't listening to me. She ain't doing this or whatever, you know. But hey, guess what? He's still going to uplift her. Why? Because she's the standard. Why? Because she's white. It's okay. In a white society, she should be the standard. It's okay. If I go to Chinatown, a Chinese woman should be the standard. It's okay. If I go over to Nagasaki, right, the Japanese woman should be the standard. It's okay. If I go over to Ireland, there should be a red-haired, blue-eyed Irish lass. She should be the standard. It's okay. I have no problem with it, right? But watch this. If I go, see, this is the problem that we have, because if I go to the Choctaw tribe, somebody will still try to say that the white woman is the standard. See, sovereignty, your being. Why is somebody else the same? If I go to a black neighborhood, I'm not saying that there's not, I get it. There's protective hairstyles and all that stuff. But you know what? A woman who would decide to have, just have her hair be locked up. There's somebody out there to tell her, oh, wow, like, why you got that like that? I'm embarrassed. Why you do this or whatever. She's not the standard because she doesn't have a place. Once again, remember, stop talking about the black community if you don't own it. Stop talking about you live in a project and that's a black community. That's not a black community. That's a place where they live. They have literal bars around you. You're a project. You're an experiment over there, right? See, and I hear what you're saying for real. I'm gonna just do a play on words with what you're saying. I don't even think that you need to worry about being outside the standard. You need to become the standard. But recognize the standard is not for everybody. Your standard is not for everybody. Your standard of beauty is not everybody's standard of beauty. I'm not saying they're not attracted to you. They want to be you, right? We know in the story of mankind that there are women who have been locked up, had cages put over their faces, right? Masks put on their faces so that nobody could see their face, because men were that attracted to their face and were attracted to their hips and all these things. They were put in museums where they would be there alive in museums, and men would go there and would literally masturbate. White men would masturbate while looking at these black women that were in, like when you go to the museum and you see these stuffed things, they would have a real black woman in there. Sarah Bartman comes to mind, right? But it's not, but I need you to comprehend, it's because that you're trying to deal with that kind of mindset, that kind of spirit. And trying to be like, oh yeah, why won't they accept us? They can't accept you. The day they accept you, the system doesn't exist. It's not, don't it's gonna sound weird after all that I just said, because that could make you hate somebody if your heart's not right. But don't take it personal. It's their system. Right? Don't take it personal. It's their system. You hear what I'm saying? You don't worry about their system. Now's the time to create your own. People say, well, we can't create our own. We'll never be able to do it. Yes, you can. Get the land first and put stuff on it. And even if it took you 50 years to do so, it would be yours. It'd be something your children and your children's children would have, that they would have their own city, right? Even if it's only 100 acres, 100 acres is something that can provide for a lot of families, right? Even if it's just that can be something to where somebody can come over there. Well, I'm not really talking about speaking in tongues today, but long story short, we have no problem with speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues edifies the person personally. That's why you should hopefully either have the gift of interpretation as well, or have somebody there that can interpret so that others can be able to participate. If so led, if the Most High doesn't feel like others need to be able to be led to, they can speak in tongues. By the way, tongues just means language too. So speaking in tongues is not only a spiritual thing; it also can be something to where you speak in other people's languages, Spanish, French, Kiswahili, etc. Right? The same way that they did on at Shavuot or the day of Pentecost. Right? But I'm trying to tell you, like, you got to become, and we're not trying to become. Right? In their system, the black man is not the standard. In their system, the black man is a threat. So if in their system black men get shot, it's okay. It's not okay, but you must comprehend that if you're not going to work towards your system, their system, or if you're going to try to be around it, or if you're going to try and work a 9 to 5, like the more you're in a system that says black men should be shot, then don't be surprised when black men get shot. Don't be surprised when you get pulled over. I've been pulled over multiple times in my life, right? Don't be surprised. Like this system is based off of reversing your nature. Willie Lynch letters of 1712, read in Virginia, right? The same Virginia that later on is going to have your first presidents, right? If you skip over the first 8, George Washington, the first president, Thomas Jefferson, the third, um, um, Madison, the fourth, Monroe, the fifth. If you want to go to the second and the sixth one, then those are people who had to work for Virginians, and these were all Virginia slave owners whose family would have been right there at that meeting, learning how to make sure they enslaved you, right? Presidents setting precedent. And in that system, they said they're going to reverse your nature, and they'd be willing to kill the strongest of you and beat down the other brothers, right? So to beat down the other brothers to the point of death, but not to kill them because they still need to make them money. They still have to have slave mentality. They still represent good economics. That's quoting what he said. That's the standard of their system, of their word. The word world means system, right? In the Greek, that's what they're saying. It's system. That's why you say world, be in the world, not of it. For he also loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. You're saying system. You're saying cosmos with a K. So in their system, that's what's supposed to be. So if you're going to live in their system and never come to a place where you're going to make sure you have your own land to be around, that you don't have to have a 9 to 5, that you can go do whatever you want. Like my family and I, we travel all the time, but when we go places, we don't go to places to where, and it's not on purpose. It's just we're not part of the system enough, so we don't really go to places where black people get killed like that. Like we go to state parks, we go to national parks, we look for things that are Cherokee and Seminole land and Blackfoot land. We look for things that are like we're looking to go to Redwood Forest. We go to people's homes that have acres so we can grow food on them if they allow us to. We go to visit you all. We're not going to visit places that just out anywhere random. We're going to visit you all, right? And even though these things might still, because of all these different things, we have the ability, like we've made our mind up that we're not going to do things that are going to keep us systemic. We're not going to deal with systemic issues, right? We're not going to deal with those. We're not going to deal with those. We don't have a lifestyle that says that you got to do the same thing that everybody else does. We don't have a lifestyle. I'm not competing with everybody else to make sure that I got to do. I don't have to have the same worried about money and have to. Oh goodness, how much money's coming in? How much money's coming in? Because we're okay with, having a little something for ourselves, having in a couple different locations. It allows us to be able to travel if necessary. Like when COVID hit and everybody else was like, "Ooh, we can't be in this spot." I didn't even know they were about to lock down where we were, but something in my spirit said like, "Yo, let's go ahead and roll out." And my wife was feeling the same thing. We were in agreement, packed up the family. We rolled out. As we were rolling out, they were bringing tanks to make sure that people can go in and out. We were able to go to another place because we live this. It's our being, right? You got to become what you want. Thanks for being part of the community, Ant-Man Kuso. Is it Sweet Judgments? Thanks for being part of the community, right? Like you got to be. Who are you being? Who are you trying to become? Right? You got to start working on your being, right? You got to start working on your being. Do you know how many people are dealing with stuff because you're vitamin D deficient and you never get out in the sun? How in the world people don't get out in the sun is beyond me. But a lot of us don't even go in the sun. Think about that. What sense does that make? that we are a people who need sun and need more sun than everybody else because of the melanin, right? That makes it harder sometimes for the sun to even get through. We need more sun than everybody else, but are vitamin D deficient, even though we have to go outside to get to and from our jobs. We have to go outside to be able to go to the store, right? A lot of us get headaches and stuff and don't even know. Go outside, take your shoes off, sit there with 10 toes planted, put your hands in the air like this and bask in the sunlight. And in about 2 minutes, you will feel better than you ever did. But we're vitamin D deficient. You know why? Because we're not in our being. See what I'm saying? Sovereign being. We think it's just paperwork. We're not in our being, right? Some of you can see this if you're on YouTube. I don't even, hold on. I don't know what you guys are seeing, what you're not seeing. Is it okay? Here we go. Like if you're on YouTube, you can see, like, this is being. I can reach out and touch plant life. You know, I can reach out and touch things. I'm smelling that. I get to sit out here. If I go 2 hours, 3 hours on a live session in the Rising, right? Well, we had to see what's going on with that Anubis then, because that's digestion issue, because you should be able to digest sunlight, right? But if I go out 2-3 hours in the Rising, a lot of times I'm going to be outside. Why am I going to be outside? Because I'm going to make sure that I'm in nature, in something that's natural, right? Being something that's natural law, right? Before I start worrying about everything else, I have to worry about natural law. Natural law says be in your nature, be who you are. Think about how much, I don't think we even think about this. When you go to work for somebody and they say you have to wear this uniform, that means that you can't be yourself. You send your child to school, they say they will wear this uniform. They're saying you will not be yourself. You hear what I'm saying? Like your being, sovereign being. Who are you being? Who are you becoming? What will you become? How will you become? Being. And it's sovereign, by the way. I mean, if you're married to the court system, you can. I mean, if you wanted to, you could just make sure your wife and you write up a contract, because, even when you get married, you don't have to get married through the state. So you could just easily write the contract, write a contract between her and you. We tell people all the time, write out marriage constitutions and sign them. Right. That, I would sign a contract on top of that and make sure whatever it is. And at some point, if you guys want to get rid of the legal contract, the legal state stuff, and just use the contract only, you could do that. It doesn't mean anything to anybody except paperwork. So as long as you guys are all right with them, I would write out a contract first to make sure you're protected by that contract, and then get rid of the other one that you signed up, or if you say you're charged with a crime, when you get your DS-11 form done correctly, a lot of your crime stuff and everything, it goes off your record anyways, because you're not in that system, right? If you don't exist in that system anymore, it don't matter. You said legally, how do you become sovereign? Once again, sovereignty has to do with you being separate. That's it. Like, even if you don't have your paperwork done, stop using your social security number for everything. You don't have to use it's illegal for them to force you to use your social security number. So don't use it anymore. If somebody says you have to use your social security number, you got to use it for your DS-11 form. But get your DS-11 form, get your passport thing done, right? That means that you can go ahead, and we just had somebody in our community do it. I don't know if they want me to out them or whatever. They've talked about it on Zoom, but they haven't talked about it on here, so I'm not going to speak on it. But we just had somebody who just contacted me the other day, told me that they're getting their W-8BEN done. You get your W-8BEN done. What does that mean? W-8BEN means that now anything that I do, you can't take out my taxes. They'll still take out your, I think they still can take out your Social Security, right? But they can't take out your taxes. Now your Social Security, they can take out because you got that number. The only way to get rid of your Social Security number is you got to be part of a community that has a certain belief system that's legally, considered to be private and everything. And that community has to say that they can take care of your elderly and have a plan and everything that's been approved. If they do that, right, then you don't have to have a Social Security number, which is why, like, The Amish and people like that, they don't worry about that stuff. You know. Well, yeah. Well, see, even your driving privileges are different than your traveling privileges. But we'd have to have a conversation about that, right? You're driving and traveling are two different things. But you'd have to make sure you get your paperwork done first, before we can go over that. Because what is legally driving? They don't tell you. Driving puts you in the system, right? But driving is something you only need a driver's license. Like, you've never needed a driver's license in your life. You don't need a driver's license to get a car. You don't need a driver's license to have insurance. You can use your passport number, especially if your passport number is something that you got your DS11 set up to where it says that you're a non-citizen national instead of a U.S. citizen, right? So a lot of us don't know. Once again, we don't know our being, but you don't have to have a license. You don't have to have a license because if you look up what a driver is, according to Black's Law Dictionary, which is what people use for the legal terms. So if you look up what a driver is, a driver means that you have to be somebody that's employed to be a coachman or to take an automobile or whatever. In other words, if your company that you work for says, so some of us need driver's licenses. I'm not saying nobody needs them, but this is all a driver's license should be used for is your company says in order to do blah, 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 blah for us, you have to have a driver's license, right? Not for identity purposes, because you need to be able to use stuff in the system, or you need to, you need to be licensed to be, you need a driver's license to be a trucker. Or maybe they say you're going to use company cars because they want their people to look a certain way when they are traveling. So you have to drive their car. So you have to have a driver's license. Or if you're somebody who's doing, a side hustle and you're working for Postmates or whatever, I can't remember all these different things, Shopify, Uber Eats, whatever, right? And you're working for these places, then guess what? You need a driver's license. You need to be licensed to drive for these people. But if you're just out there, you're just traveling, like you don't need a license to be able to go on a vacation. You're traveling. So even if you have a driver's license, you don't have to carry one. And even if the police don't like it, you can always give them your passport, especially if you're sovereign. Now, because sovereigns are people that know more than the average person, right? Those who take our class, we tell them, by the end of the class, we start telling them at the beginning of the class, you are the master and you're dealing with public servants. And a lot of these public servants who are supposed to be serving you, they don't recognize how the private works. So you as the master, which just means teacher, you as the master must make sure that you tell the servants what's going on. So you might have to have some of this law with you when you're traveling, because a lot of people may not know that, right? One of the easiest ways to go ahead and get rid of it, if you wanted to, is just, if you really wanted to get rid of it, all you have to do is just get a state ID, because if you have a state ID, you're not allowed to have a license. So you just go get a state ID, right? And if you get your other stuff together, you get your paperwork together, we can start going down the path of, okay, you can turn in your license plates too, right? And we can show you how to make sure that you get custom plates, right? But it starts with that, but that stuff starts with your DS11 form. Has got to be filled out correctly. Right. And when you get that form done, but basically you're getting your passport updated. As soon as your passport is updated, even before you receive it, you're updated in the system. So you're great to go. And I'm telling you from other people, I'm telling you from people who've taken our courses, another family, another person, this is another sister who told me that she was traveling after she took our classes. She had her stuff updated, right? She's traveling down the road and she sees, and she gets pulled over by the police. Her tags are bad. She has no license with her. She's pretty much ready to have her car taken, this, that, or whatever, right? She gives the police her name and information, right? He goes back to the vehicle or whatever. He walks right back to her. He says, "Thank you very much. Have a nice day." Because she's in the system different. I'm not telling you what I think, right? I'm telling you what, like, we've seen even in the stuff that we've been able to teach, right? You have to be a sovereign being. You have to become this in everything. You should be. You said finances and social relevance. When you were a child, you were messed with all the time. Now you're grown and you get back. They don't mess with you, but a few that don't understand, you can be the most things in court. Yeah, and really your goal, once again, because sovereign citizens, if we be honest, Not sovereign citizen. See, I messed up. There's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. If you're a sovereign, you got to recognize that once you go to court, or see, look, let me say it like this: we once again are being. We set it up to where we just live in the private as much as possible, right? Like as much as possible. Oh no, in the van, that's the guy Corbin. You know, that's Oakley. That's the guy who had us on the podcast, if you remember. That's who that is. And go support him on his TikTok stuff as well if you can. You know, but that's you know, like when we're talking about sovereignty, you got to recognize, you got to realize that this um is sovereign. Like I was trying to say earlier, how do you reign? Your goal is to reign. Your goal is to reign as a people, as people who are like-minded, as a family, for yourself, in your community, on your own land. It's about reigning. And if you can't reign, you cannot be sovereign, right? You have to be somebody who can reign and reign well. This is why when husbands talk all this trash and my wife won't do this, she ain't listening, and blah, blah, and this and that. All right. I mean, that sounds great and everything, right? But heavy's the head that wears the crown. If you say you're the king, you got to reign. See, it's bigger than just the paperwork. See what I'm saying? It has to become holy. Holy means, put a W before that H. Holy, holistic. Even the people who speak the most about sovereignty will tell you that sovereignty is a spiritual thing, because you can't have public and private law without substantive law. You can't have substantive law without natural law. You can't have natural law without universal law. You technically can't have universal law without proper marital law, but some people don't know how that works. And you definitely can't have universal law without kingdom law, right? Because a king had to speak the universe into existence, right? Because it's universe, a single spoken sentence. So a king has to speak a universe into existence. Now, who is the king who spoke the universe into existence? To the point to where if you try to get something and you try to patent a plant or a pill, you cannot patent something that is natural law, but you can patent something if you change it. Why? Because in law, it says that if the Most High made it, it cannot be patented, because he is the ultimate person who patents it. He made it. It has his DNA in it. It has his fingerprints on it. Even people who are sitting up there spitting evolution, people who spit evolution, you can't be legal. You can't get your stuff together. You can't have it in order. Why can't you have it in order? Because you don't even comprehend how the law works. You who believe in evolution and are sitting up there having to genetically modify the patent, know that you know in your head you can't even genetically modify, or you can't just give stuff to people naturally, because you don't believe that it evolves, because the law that you're a part of says that the Most High had to make it. People don't want to hear, but that's sovereignty. How do you reign? Sovereign. That's why all these sovereigns are supposed to be one and the same with, or supposed to be somebody who is declared by their version of whoever, Elohim, or their God, or their nature, or their spirit, or all these different things. There's a natural law. The law of nature says that somebody had to create it. That's what's in your law books today. The law, the law, when you get married, guess what marriage is in the law? Sex is marriage and marriage is sex. That's not some religious thing, so to speak, for a lot of us, because we use the term religious wrong. But so we think religious just means what group of belief you fall under or whatever. So let's just use it that way for now, right? You who believe in the religious, right, or whatever religion doesn't say that you have to have wait to be married to have sex. It is lawful. If you were to get married to somebody right now and you and them did not walk down the aisle, I'm sorry, excuse me, after y'all walked down the aisle, kissed, went there, went back to the court, got everything together, got your marriage license and all that, from that moment on, if y'all had no sex, if you had zero sex, and you came before the judge and you said, Your Honor, look, I married her. She don't want to have sex with me. We've been together for 3 months. We won't. They like, I don't know what to do. I came here before you because this can't work for me. And the judge says, you won't have sex with him? She's like, yeah, I just can't have sex with him. You know what the judge would do? The marriage is annulled. There's no value to it. Why? Because sex is marriage and marriage is sex. That's why they had to lawfully, legally, they tried to change it, and they tried to get these states to change their laws and say that, hey, you need to accept all these different types of marriage. Why? Because it was sex It was sexual laws. There were laws there that were against um, um, any kind of sodomy or any kind of, girl on girl action, etc. Right? They had to change all those things. They were trying to do it legally, because if they did not do it legally, then it meant that you could not be married. So what they were doing was putting pressure on them to say, hey, be okay with their sex, because if you're okay with their sex, you're okay with their marriage. That's the way that works. You think that that's some kind of religious mumbo jumbo. No, that is natural law. The law that you follow, even when they twist it, they still have to use natural law. So that's why your signature is crucial, right? That's why you got to make sure without prejudice, UCC 1-308. Before that, UCC 1-207. You have to know those things. Why? Because they're trying to get you to give up who you are as a natural man. Right? Because they're trying to get you to do those things without being a natural man. Right? That's what they're attempting to do. Is try to get you to go outside of law. Like my wife just put in the comments, law is key. It's the key to the door. And the last thing they want you to do is become proficient at law and efficient in law. Even when you get married, you got an in-law. You have to have a second parent in order to be married, because two people have become one, which means that if one person has a parent, the other person has a parent. Right? Yeah, school doesn't teach us law or how right, like school doesn't teach us law. Oh, we lost TikTok. Somebody probably gonna try and call me several times. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So yeah, school doesn't teach us law or how the system works. Even law, school doesn't teach law. And that's very true. A lot of lawyers will come out here and tell you they had no clue how law works when they first started in the system. It's like, but you passed the bar, you went to school. Some of y'all went to school for years and years, got your masters and doctorates and all that stuff. Yeah, I still didn't know how law worked. Right? They still didn't know. Do I claim any treaty? Well, I haven't. I hadn't. I know that I'm a Moor, um, if you want to go by definition, but I don't need it. I know that I'm a Moor, but I don't need it. I don't need to do any of those things. I don't have to worry about doing any of those things, because as a as a I'm a non-citizen national, so I know, like, but when I go different places, I know who I am. I'm different places and different, I'm different. I have different names, different identities when I go different places, all that. But I know who I am. So yeah, but I'm not Blackfoot, so I wouldn't be able to claim that my wife is. So I guess us being married together, I guess I could in a sense, but just being a non-citizen national gives me rights, to stuff that a lot of people don't have. But could you go that route? For sure, right? But I'm not part of that treaty. That's something I would uplift. I'd be lying to try and uplift that, right? The Moorish part, I wouldn't be lying, but I mean, there's some steps that I could clearly take if I wanted to, but I try to live as a non-citizen national. So yeah, I'm Moorish. I have no problem with somebody using the treaty. Who knows? At some point in my life, if I want something different, I might use it, but it's not something I need. There's different ways to get it done. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I'm saying, is it Kalia Kasha? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Thanks for being part of the community today. Hello, alaikum salam to you. I don't know what this Paul the Christian said or whatever, but they apparently did something that was terrible. Thank you guys. I didn't even see it. But yeah, it's about, once again, it's all about your being. Like, I want to focus on it because, once again, we're getting in a place. Like, do you know how many people are like, I'm gonna make sure I'm a Moor. I'm gonna make sure I'm a Moor. I'm gonna make sure I'm a Moor. And then you cussing everybody out. Like, that's not, you know, I mean, that's something that maybe Moors would do in house, but you don't do that out in public. Keep that to yourself. You know how many people say I'm going to be a freedman. I'm going to be a freedman. I'm going to be a freedman, and you won't study like you don't, but you don't know anything about your family. You got to at least know who your family was, at least up to 1865. Oh, okay. Thanks, baby. You know, we have a lot of people talking stuff, and you're not talking about your being, right? Who are you being? Who you be? That's why I asked today. Who you be, and what you have planned today. Who do you be? Because who you be is going to be who you become. I'm not really talking about Islam today, but same thing I said about Islam each time. There's a lot of people that don't even know how Islam works. There's a lot of people that don't know that there's other books that you should read with the Quran, because a lot of people are speaking on behalf of Muhammad, and Muhammad doesn't even really speak that much in the Quran. I would make it a point to also tell people that if you believe that you are Isaac, or you believe you are of the things of Isaac, don't forget that Isaac and Ishmael are brothers. And so I will never, fully turn on my brother or anything like that. And at the end of the day, you got to make the main thing the main thing. If my brother Ishmael wants to make sure that he's free too, he can be free as well. And even if you get into how these words work, and if we go into ancient language, Allah, Allaham, they're actually, talking about the same title. My whole thing would be, do you serve the proper Allah? So I'll leave that there, right? It's not my it's not my goal. It's not part of what we're talking about really today. Anybody who wants to be sovereign, there's certain things that all of us have to do across the board, right? Any of us, and we have to get back to who we are for our being. Who do we be? How do you? Once again, we looked up the word believe. A lot of people don't know where believe comes from. How do you believe if you don't know what leave is? How do you become, right? If you don't know who you be? How do you belittle something? Like, can you belittle anything if you don't know who to be, or are you belittling things you shouldn't belittle? Why would you belittle if you know who you be, and who you be is somebody who's empathetic? Why would you belittle what somebody else has to say? You said who you be. Someone said to me, that's bad English, and I said the key to self is understanding. Salah. Thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate it. Yeah, who you be. It's one of the biggest things. Well, I don't know. I answered that earlier. As far as the sovereignty class, if you want to go ahead and get in contact with us and figure out more information about it, we've already pretty much, like tonight, we're going to be starting, I think, part 5 of it. So we're kind of already past a lot of the items and stuff, but you can definitely feel free to be able to get in contact with us for sure, um, and see if you're somebody who thinks that you can catch up, look at the recordings, things like that. We ask for like a $90 donation to be able to take the 2-month course. So you'd be coming in for the last month and trying to catch up on the other stuff. We could possibly do some one-on-one stuff here or there to make sure that you catch up for any questions, comments, and concerns you have. Once again, go on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you can just go to where it says website, click on that. That's our link tree there. And on our page, once you do that, it'll take you to a place that says classes. Click on the classes part. It'll bring up what the curriculum is and all the information, and then you can click on it to get even further information. And then you can contact us if the information is on it via email or text us or something like that, and we'll get back to you ASAP. But if you want to join up tonight, then yeah, there's still a chance. But if somebody wants to sit down and go through some things or whatever, sure. Some of those things, time wise or whatever, just being honest, you have to try and fit in, and we do ask. You don't have to necessarily, but we ask, since it's stuff that we're doing, maybe taking some things from other places and stuff. Maybe you could help out with donation or something. That would be positive and something as well. Because and can I say something about that too? Like, that's somebody asked me this earlier, and I kind of glossed over this because we end up going to so many different platforms back and forth and trying to answer questions. So forgive me for missing this, but this is key. I'm not saying you got to do it with us. I'm not worried about it. Some of you guys bless us with like donations, offering, tithes. You give your time, talent, effort, energy, gifts, talents. Like you guys are amazing in this community. And there's hundreds of us. If there's thousands of us that before that kind of got messed up when they took down our channels. But we do a lot of great things all over the world, thanks to people like you. and we're working on the land thanks to people like you, and we're becoming better thanks to people like yourself. And you guys are teaching me all the time too, and forcing me to have to challenge. Even sometimes when we get challenged, I love being challenged because it forces us to do these things, right, to get into certain things. um, One of the things that um, I want to say too is that make sure that you sewing into somebody, right? Like, there's a reason why I make sure I tell y'all, you go see Yusuf El. Go see Yusuf El. You know why? Because Yusuf El is one of the masters that I'm at his feet, right? So when Yusuf El says something, I sew into him. Like, even if I can't give a bunch of money and stuff, guess what I can do? Like, yo, I tell everybody, Yusuf, we even have it incorporated in our class. We listen to him, right? And then we just go through what he's saying, right? Like, you sew into the master that's there, right? Like, I have different people that I listen to, right? And even though I don't get a chance to be around them that much because we're traveling, I have a spiritual father, spiritual mother. So I sew into them. I make sure I say certain things. I make sure I send them certain things on their born days or Father Day or whatever, right? My physical father, I make sure I sew into him. My physical mother is passed. I still sew into her. I talk about her name, right? You honor your parents. You honor those that are above you. You honor people that are doing things, right? That's one of the things that the gifts that keeps on giving. And we don't really talk about that as much as we should. We don't really honor that the way that we should. But man, if you really want to go far in this thing, whoever's like really been blessing you, I'm not talking about you, even if it's not me, right? Whoever you're doing stuff, like, get used to giving some kind of tribute. You would call it a tithe, depending on your belief system, whatever. But get used to those that have been really blessing you, working with you, your parents who did things for you. If you had a parental figure, if your parents were in your life, if you had a friend that was doing things that opened your eyes, right? Like, if you have somebody that died but was doing things for you, make sure that you take care of their spouse, right? Like, make sure you take care of their family. Like, do something. I'm promising you, like, that is like crucial. That's something that, like, sovereigns do. Sovereigns so into that we give respect to those that came before us, right? There are people that have been living sovereign. Yusuf El, somebody been living sovereign like what, 30 years or something like that. So why would I not go to him? And he's talked to people who've been doing it for 60 years, and those people learn from people who have been doing it before they were alive. And like that, you keep on, it's law. That's lawful, right? Natural law declares that the seed that this tree gives is going to give credit in its DNA to the seed that allowed this tree to live, right? Like, it's guaranteed that the seed has to give credit in some way, shape, or form, right? If this seed, right, if well, you guys can't see everything out here, but let's say we got like we got a lemon tree or something. If the lemon tree, right, gives seed, another lemon is going to grow. What's his TikTok? I don't have his TikTok. I don't think he's on TikTok. He's on IG, and he's on YouTube. Right, but we give credit to those people. You give some kind of seed, you give some kind of tithe, you give some kind of thanksgiving, right, to those that came before, right? So if somebody taught you how to build something, you should make sure that you bless the person that taught you how to build. Like, those are some of the things that you're there. You said, can you be sovereign and get your military retirement? Of course. That's your labor. Like, you can be in the military. You don't have to get a shot if you don't want to. You just have to know how to make sure that you request it properly on paper. But we've done it. We have a sister on here who's in the military. I forget her rank, but not definitely not low ranking by any means. And we made sure that she was straight. I think there was another sister. She might have been lower ranking. Might have been an E2, E3, right? I'm trying to get myself together. In the She wasn't a specialist yet, so what? She was PFC probably in the Army. But yeah, you can do all those things easily. But once again, you just have to know how. You have to know how. Nobody taught us how, because once again, we were taught to be in slavery. To be in debt is to be a slave. To be a slave is to be in debt. In all the Sermon on the Mount, we love to talk about the Beatitudes, Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 through 12, right? Really 3 through 10, but then 3 through 12 is holistic. We love to talk about being a city on a hill and the salt of the earth and all that. Matthew chapter 5, verse 13 through 16. We love to talk about law. Matthew chapter 5, well, some of us do. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 20, right? But then we don't want to talk about where it starts talking about not being angry and not being in debt. That's Matthew chapter 5, starting at verse 21. I think it's verse 21 through 25. We don't like to talk about how the word of Yah talks about equity. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 3. Why is it they never told you about equity? Why is it, right? Proverbs chapter 22, is it verses 6 and 7 or 5 and 6 or 3 and 4, something like that? I think it's verses 6 and 7. People like the first part where it says, train up a child in the way that they should go. So when they grow old, they will not depart from it. But what's the next verse say? Next verse says that make sure that you comprehend and understand that the lender, that the borrower will always be servant to the lender, right? And therefore make sure that you are the lender and not the borrower. In other words, when you put those two verses together, train up your children to be lenders and never borrowers so they're not subservient to lenders. Oh, Yusuf is on TikTok too? Okay, I didn't know he was on TikTok. I need to follow him. I knew he was on IG. I know he hasn't been posting that much on YouTube as of late, and he was saying he's coming on IG for the lives more. So I didn't know. So maybe that's I didn't know that he was on TikTok. Thank you. Right, but a lot of people don't comprehend that. They don't recognize that. Like that you're supposed, it's equity in this. It's part of the game, but it's not the only part, because the Bible is what? Holy. It's holistic. It talks about your talents. You should double up on your talents. What is a talent, right? A talent equates to 200 pounds of gold or 100 pounds of silver. So when one man had 5 talents and ended up with 10, it means that he started off with 1,000 pounds of gold and ended up with a ton. That's what that means, right? It's right. And he had learned some lessons in life that should have been from the master, from the teacher, he should have been able to apply. And he did. And the one with 400 pounds was able to make that 800 pounds because they applied the same thing. And the person with 100 or 200 pounds, he buried 200 pounds of gold in the earth because he was afraid of what might happen. And he had to live in fear every day, trying to check and make sure nobody could get to something, and never once just simply invest it or put it in a bank to where he could have gained interest. And when he did that, what did Yashva, or what did the master say to him? The master said, "You are wicked and slothful." He said, "Take away the gold from him. Take away the money. Take away the 200 pounds and give it to the person that had a ton. Because at least the person with a ton will do what they're supposed to do with it." And everybody said, oh no, that's so terrible. He only had 200 pounds. That's what the people said. They were like, that's monstrous. Why would you take that from him? Right? But why would you keep 200 pounds of gold? Right? In other words, put it like this. Because even though there's no gold that backs up our money. But let's do this. If I gave somebody $500, I gave somebody else $200, and I gave somebody else $100, and I taught them how to make sure they invested, and I left and I came back, and one person had made it 1,000, the 500 1,000, the person that had 200 made it 400, the person that had 100 just kept it in his wallet the whole time. Right? Does it make sense to keep giving that person that has 100 money? What value did that $100 have sitting in his wallet? Right? What value did the $100 have sitting in his wallet? Did him making sure he held on to the $100 and it didn't go to a mom pop shop, it didn't go to his children, it didn't go into a bank account? Did that help anything? Did the community change because he had $100 in his pocket that he wouldn't spend? Yeah, exactly. Most will never comprehend that, right? Like $100, but people will get mad when they say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna take the 100." Right? This is where the public steps in. Right? Yeah, he was too lazy to do anything with it, not investing or helping somebody or anything. Right? So look, this is when the public gets to step in. If you're in the private and you won't make sure that you do things for self or for your community, then the public steps in and says, "Look, like what you're doing is irresponsible, and if you won't use it, we might as well." That's law. You don't like it, but see, the problem is not that you just had 100. The problem is that we had 100 and nobody told us we're supposed to double up. Remember earlier, and I'm not trying to make fun or do anything like that or just disagree with anybody. I'm trying to get us to see. I want you to get this concept, right? I want this to become a concept for you, right? If your community, look, we behind the 8 ball. I get it. We behind the 8 ball. We are, right? But it doesn't mean we can't double up. And people are gonna keep coming in and taking what you have if you don't double up. Because scared money don't make money. Right? Anybody? Right? Scared money don't make money. Right? Don't go to the casino and be scared with your money because you ain't gonna make nothing. If you're just going there for fun, fine. But if you're going there trying to make something, right? If don't invest and you scared to invest, scared money don't make money. Well, you know that they're saying this is this or that or whatever. Study. Make sure you study to see what's going on. There's different types of cryptocurrency, so not all cryptocurrency is falling off a cliff or something. Remember that Bitcoin, by the way, is not even something that's real, like that has any value outside of just being some kind of fake currency and getting the ball rolling, right? So even if you see Bitcoin go down far, it doesn't mean that Ethereum is going to be the same way. Doesn't mean that different ones are going to be there, right? Ethereum, matter of fact, is the number one cryptocurrency. There's a difference. People don't even study. But even if you get outside of cryptocurrency, study to see what's going on with Disney. Study to see what's going on with like look for stuff that's solar energy. Heck, I used to be invested in weapons, and I'll be the first person to be like, hey, they're using these weapons. I don't like supporting the troops, or if maybe you don't like supporting the troops, blah blah, this and that or whatever. Right, even though I'm a former military person, but what the military stands for, what it does, and what it's representing, a lot of people don't know what it actually represents. Regardless, though, I still was going to put some money in weapons. You know why? Because I know that the government is going to put money in weapons. People say, "Oh, I can't believe that you put money in weapons and that you would make money off of it or whatever." Am I stopping them from making weapons? Of course not. Don't be afraid. Like scared money don't make money. And you've been taught, but what we've been taught is we can't get out. We've been taught there's no way out. I will only be this for the rest of my life. I will only be poor for the rest of my life. I will only be destitute for the rest of my life. I will only be black, as if that's a bad thing, for the rest of my life. They'll never let us do anything like that. Who cares if somebody lets you? This is when, even though I don't like this terminology because people don't know that victors are bad people. So when they get into the whole victor versus victim thing and triumphant and all that, they don't even know what those words mean. Those are terrible people. You should never want to be a victor because victors eviscerate people and then they take what you have and blah, 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 right? But there is some truth when people say, hey, do something for yourself. We should believe them, right? Oh yeah, North Grumman for sure. I know about North Grumman. Went to quite a few things when they built quite a few of those ships. I was there, a lot of them, right? At least at a certain time, and then lived near it for a while in DC, right? So I'm trying to tell you, right? I need to, you need to comprehend, like you got to start doing yourself. Once again, sovereign being. Are you going to be sovereign? A lot of you are trying to be citizens, and you need to be a being, right? If you're going to be a kingdom citizen, fine, but be a human being first. Be a kingdom being, right? I'm telling you, I'm trying to show you, like, become this so you can sovereign. But you got to be something. You got to start doing something. You got to start investing in something. We investing in stuff that doesn't make any sense. People are going to go to today. Some of us who are on here right now, you going to invest in McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or Chipotle or whatever, right? I'm trying to think of one that is in my face. I can't believe I'm forgetting this one. um, Whatever, right? You're gonna put in something, right? Dairy Queen, that's not the one I'm looking for either, but whatever. Chick-fil-A, a lot of people, you're gonna invest in something, but are gonna have nothing to show for investing in your community. Yeah, you have to put in work. Not put in a job, put in work. But once again, what are you putting in work for? What are you trying to become? So you already be. You're an eternal creature. You be, right? You're just coming into what already you be. But you got to figure out what you be. You got to figure out what you be. What are you trying to be? Who are you trying to be? Once again, today, when you get ready to go into what you're doing today, what are you going to be? Well, you say to be means to make choices. I would even go a step past that, more foundational, right? You are who you be. Now you can choose to be who you be, right? But you already are who you be. A lot of people are trying their best to get away from who they be, right? There's a guy, when you put the whole thing about a fruit stand, there's a guy that right next to a McDonald's, a Red Lobster, a Burger King, and something else is further down. You'll see his van pop up every once in a while. This is like in Maryland somewhere, and he'll um, he'll just have like watermelon and stuff, right? Has freshly grown, natural watermelon or whatever, and he just shows up with it, and people will buy whatever he has. Why? Because he's an alternative. See, everybody else will show up. People who are showing up for the fake stuff know that his stuff is real, and so his stuff has value in the midst of the fake, because he'll give you the being, what a watermelon's supposed to, what food is supposed to, what it's supposed to be, right? What it's supposed to be or become, right? But a lot of people are trying to get into being. So many people talk about, oh, I want to be this or be that. Some people, you know how many people get mad at people, and I hear this all the time. This person's bad, and you talking about you really a wife. You talking about you a husband. Well, if you was a real woman, if you was a real man, stuff like that, people say all the time. And it's like, why are you talking about that person as if they aren't? That's not who they be. No, well, if they were really, no. Like, stop talking about what this world is saying they are, and stop talking about what you are saying they are. If you want them to be, then what are your words? And here's the deal. A lot of us get mad at people because you ain't got no boundaries. Like, I used to be that dude. I don't have any boundaries. Sovereigns have boundaries. There's certain things that you shouldn't be able to get to me at. Period. Right? Like, you don't even have no boundaries. And then people act according to what you be or what you say you be by your actions. You have no boundaries. You don't give people boundaries. You don't listen to people's boundaries. You don't care about boundaries. You don't care about boundaries because you don't care about law. Then all of a sudden, you want other people to care about boundaries, but you have never sown boundaries into your life. You have never been boundaries. You do not be boundaries. If you are not going to be boundaries, then stop talking about boundaries. You know? You're getting with somebody. You know this person you got with wasn't even like, let's keep it 100. I'm not trying to be, look, not everybody, right? But let's keep it 100. If we were to be real, a lot of these people who get cheated on and stuff like that, a lot of us who've been there, done that, if we be honest, I've been there, I've been cheated on, right? If we be honest about it, these people's lives told us at some point they were going to cheat. Like, if we can we be honest, right? Like, I've been in relationships before in the past, and if I just be honest, I knew this person was going to do that. I just wanted to be with them. Don't know why overall. Probably just because I wanted a wife and I wanted to be able to lay down with somebody, and this person was going to be closest thing. I'll be honest, right? Now, it was more than that, but I'm just saying, like, that was probably what drove it more than anything else. It wasn't because she was a wife that I was trying to lay down with this person. I didn't know what a wife was back in the day. And if that person do something to you, guess what? That's on you, because you knew better. You wanted what you wanted instead of needed. You didn't need what you needed. You wanted what you wanted. You didn't even want what you needed. You didn't need what you needed. You wanted what you wanted. Somebody got there, somebody didn't. I get it, right? If you're on the podcast, thanks so much for being on. By the way, we're going to be off in a couple minutes or so feel free to join us on TikTok or YouTube. And thank you for being on with us today on the podcast. Right, we won't be too much longer on TikTok or YouTube, but you can feel free to join us over there. Right, but a lot of us, we won't be honest. Right, heavy is the head that wears the crown. You knew that person probably was going to do what they were going to do, but you got with them anyways. You knew he liked to turn up. She liked to turn up. You got with somebody when they were turning up, right? What you think was going to happen? You knew that person got with you, when you were depressed and looking for a rebound or whatever. Why do you think that they were going to treat you as anything other than a rebound? Right? We get into this stuff. We don't want to be honest. We don't want to talk about who we be. A lot of people we be in bad positions, and then we sitting up there trying to figure out why we be in bad positions. Because you be in bad. But you can be who you're supposed to be. You can be righteous. You can change it today. You can make it a point today to never have to be that again. Because you can only come into who you be. That's what it's become. Right? You can only leave what you be. That's why it's believe. You can only make little what you compared to what you be. That's why you can be little. Or if you want to be little, it's because that's what you decided to be. So you can be little. You know, you will only attract friends that are attracted to who you be. That's why you befriend. You can only betrothed or attached to somebody who's going to be who you've decided that you want to be one with. That's why it's called betrothal. You hear what I'm saying? Right? Do you hear what I'm saying? You have to, whoever you be, who do you be? You can stop the pain if you want. Right? You can stop the pain. But who do you be? Who do you be today? Who have you decided to be? Right? People say, man, nobody will accept this. Nobody will accept what I'm doing unless I do this. I have to do it this way. That's the only way people deal with me, blah, blah. Well, if people have been dealing with you like that for years, you might want to see if maybe you want to be something different. Surely the things that are constitutional, or surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. That means that I don't chase after things that I don't be. I'm focused on who I be, right? I don't chase things. See, watch this. I don't chase things to make me be. I be so that things chase me. Did somebody catch that? I don't chase things. I used to, but I've grown up enough to realize that I shouldn't chase things that will make me be anything. I've decided to be myself and who I'm called to be, who I've been created to be, and things chase me. May I say it one more again? I don't chase things, right? I'm not chasing after things so that they'll make me be something. I've decided to be myself, and what I need will chase me. I'm not chasing the argument no more. I'm done. I'm not saying I won't argue per se, but I'm done with the yelling and feeling bad and not catching my breath and like my heartbeat is all off and I'm my hernia is messing up or blah blah and this and that and I can't heal because I'm doing this and blah blah. Like I'm done with that. I made promises to everybody in my family, everybody in my life, everybody on these lives, whatever. I'm done with all that. I can't do it anymore. I'm not gonna kill myself off of that anymore. So I'm not chasing that. I'm gonna be myself. And guess what happens is that the things that I need, they follow me anyway. I'm done chasing the argument. I'm done chasing the 9 to 5. That 9 to 5, I was chasing it. I was trying to be righteous. I was trying to do what they said. I was trying to wear the 3-piece suits. I was shaved up. I was doing all that. I tried to get the gig at the church. I tried to do it or whatever. I tried to do it the way that they wanted. I ran away from myself. I did this and all that stuff. I shaved my head trying to get it because it was supposed to be in the bag, a guarantee. Lost myself trying to preach a gospel. What is that? How does that even make sense? How do you preach something that's supposed to be? We shouldn't be preaching God's bill anyways, but you get what I'm saying. How am I? But I ended up falling for God's bill because I'm trying to preach a word by getting rid of who I'm called to be. Doesn't even make sense. Against the word of Yah, against what my tribe does, against what my belief was, but because I was chasing something, I was willing to get rid of myself. Now I've decided to be myself, and the things that I was chasing after, they chase me now. Thank you, babe. Right? Like they chase me now. I'm not tripping off those things anymore because they chase me now. So if somebody wants me to do something, somebody wants me to talk about something, somebody wants me to do something for a business, somebody wants me to call and talk, somebody wants me to do that or whatever. I don't have to be anything outside of who I be. I love who I be. I honor who I be. I honor my community. I honor everybody else. All I got to do is be me. And when I'm me, things chase. Right? Can I be honest with y'all? Quick testimony. My son's born day, my youngest Solomon, his born day is coming up. And Didn't really know him and his sister's born day basically are the same, um, basically the same month, pretty close to the same day. Wanted to do something for both. Didn't know if I was gonna be able to do it, but both deserve to get something. So I said, you know what? I really don't know if I have it to give what both of them I know both of them want. I'm definitely not going to give one of them what they want because they wanted something even more than what I'm able to give. But I said, you know what? I'm just going to trust that I'm going to do what the Most High put in my heart. And I was praying about it. This is like last week. Holy Spirit said, just do it. Right? Sometimes you get it. I was looking for. Oh, okay. Well, happy early born day, P. Cooper. In case I forget. Right. So I was looking for whatever I could, and I was just like, you know what? I was looking for an excuse. I was looking for, we don't have this, we don't have that, right? And Holy Spirit was like, look, and I won't give you guys the amount, but the Holy Spirit was like, look, this is the amount. You know that you can be able to do it for this. You've gone and done it for the community. You've done it for this person. You've done it for that person. You're sending stuff overseas and stuff. Do something for your babies, right? Do something for them, right? I said, okay. you know, I didn't really. I was like, okay. And I told my wife, right? She can tell me if she can tell y'all if I'm lying, right? I want her to tell the truth. If I'm lying, she can say I'm lying, right? I told her, I said, she probably doesn't even know that was the whole conversation I was having, but I said out loud, this is what I said out loud to her. I said, okay, we're gonna go ahead and do it, and I'm just gonna have faith that whatever we need, it'll be provided. That's what I told her. I just said, hey, if you can, go ahead and book this hotel, blah blah. We're just gonna go ahead and have faith that I don't even know if I said we're, even though she has faith too. But I think I said I said I'm just gonna go ahead and have faith that whatever we need, it'll be provided, right? Because people be thinking that I'm making a whole lot of money. I really don't, right? We're blessed. I told you I don't really know where the money comes from. I just know it comes through obedience. So I went ahead and did it. I've been giving to everybody else. I've been doing this. I've been sowing here and sowing there and giving here and giving here and doing this and traveling and putting gas in the car to make sure we visit everybody else. Right? Even though some of you have blessed us too, thank you. I'm not trying to act like you haven't. So I was just like, you know what? I really ain't got that much, but I'm just so. And pretty much like, so watch this. The first day, and look, this is when your faith gets tested, right? First day, because sometimes with what I do, the way I do things, we can go a couple months sometimes without money really coming in, right? So we got to have a lot of faith at times, right? So, but we're going through this, right? And so first day $0, right? And I need to make sure certain things are taken care of. I need to make sure my wife has money in her pocket, et cetera, et cetera. You know, but I'm like, okay, whatever, right? And then all of a sudden, yesterday, some stuff came in, and people were like, "Oh, thank you for this," and blah blah. 15 here. Somebody gave 60. Somebody gave this or that. Next thing I know, like people are doing this and that or whatever. Some of you, I guess, are doing it right now. Thank you. We appreciate you. I'm not really trying to do it just because we want you to give, but thank you for giving. Thank you for the donation, right? But then all of a sudden, like stuff came in, and even today, like even before, like today, even during the live, last night during class. I'm watching and stuff, and I'm seeing notifications come up, and I'm like, wow, thank you, yeah. And so we've already made back what it is that I sold. I've already made it back. Matter of fact, I didn't make anything back. The Most High gave it back through you guys. You gave it, right? And we appreciate you, right? And what I'm saying though is like, there's a faith moment of being, right? This is what I be. This is not even what I do. I do what I be, but I really, this is who I be, and what I be takes care of things. I don't even know when it's going to happen. I told you, I've gone weeks where I've gone months, with very little, but I've gone weeks with nothing coming in, not knowing when my family's going to be taken care of. My wife walking around, and I know she probably might have had a little worry, but she was walking around in faith and really wasn't saying much, and was saying, hey, you've been able to do this and create this and blah blah, and we're here with you and speaking words of encouragement. And I was thankful when she was giving it, because that's my love language. But inside, if I be honest with you, I was a little shaky. Right? I was a little shaky on, is this really going to happen or not? But I kept on going in faith, because guess what? That's what courage really is. That's what being courageous really is. It's like, you don't really know, but you're going to be courageous. You're going to be brave in the midst of not knowing, right? Courage is I'm going to something go what swells up in me to where I have to make a faith statement. Like if you courageous against the bully might have been beating the brakes off of you or beating the brakes off of others for a long time, and finally you say enough is enough. I don't know if I'm gonna beat you or not, but in the midst of not knowing I'm gonna beat you, I'm still gonna fight, right? In the midst of not knowing where my next check's gonna come in, I'm still gonna give. In the midst of not knowing if um, something could happen on the road traveling, I'm still gonna travel and pray Yah's protection. Amen. My wife said, do the work and the payment comes. In the midst of, and that's true, right? In the midst of all these years, like all these years that nobody was really trying to give me a 9 to 5 except for like bare minimum wage stuff, or like maybe the most I got was like $20 an hour. In the midst of all that, except for the military, and even the military, I really didn't make much money anyways, because I didn't stay in long enough to actually make real money. So in all the stuff I'm going through in all my life, never really 9 to 5 worked for me. But in the midst of that, guess what I was developing the whole time? My work. And I was willing to start stepping out on faith. And I was willing to start pointing out things in churches. And I was willing to step away from a church. And I was willing to not create a church, but to have a community. And I was willing to teach the word. And I was willing to document these things. And I'm still willing, right? Those who are on the West Coast, who you know, I still got to contact a couple of you. But those of you who we talked about meeting you and stuff and trying to grow stuff over there, we're still coming over there. I don't even know financially how that's going to happen yet. I know it's going to happen though, because that's what I was told. And if that's what I was told to do, I'm just going to be what I was told. Hallelujah. That's a word right there. We could probably stop right there. I know we're getting close to time, right? As far as the max time we try to take. But that's a word for somebody right there. Hallelujah. That's a word. Hallelujah. Right? Like that's a word. Like I'm just going to do, I'm just going to be who I was told. That's faithfulness. I'm just going to be who I was told. Right? That's all I'm going to be. I don't know how it's going to work. It's not on me to know. See what I keep saying? That's why you got to take it off you. That's why you should make sure you look to run under authority. People don't like authority, but you should be running for authority. You should be looking to be under anybody that's going to show you, that's going to make sure that they take care of you. If the Most High is going to take care of me and everything, I'm going to be under him. You know why? Because if somebody comes against me, he has to protect himself. So if I'm safe in his arms, under his wings, then guess what? I just got to do what I be, right? Do what he told me, or be who he told me, right? He told me to be, so I'm going to be who he told me. And guess what he said? If I'll be who he tells me, he said he's already going to protect me and everything. I can't explain how it works, but that's not for me to, because my ways are not his ways, nor my thoughts his thoughts. As high as the heavens are from the earth, or his ways from my ways, and his thoughts from my thoughts. And just as the rain and the snow come down to be able to cleanse the earth, so must his word go forth. It's not on me to comprehend it. I just understand it. I just stand under it. I don't know. I don't know how to make an umbrella. I know how it works. I know the works of an umbrella. I don't know how to make an umbrella. I'm not trying to learn how to make an umbrella either. I just know when it rains, if I need the umbrella, you go ahead, you take it out. If it's automatic, you do it like this. If it's not, you push it like this. And I know that it covers. I'm not trying to figure out how the umbrella works. I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that I reign inside the covering. Sovereigns, people who are in their being, they simply just stay under the umbrella. The law is the protection. I have rights, but the law protects rights. The law is the umbrella. Stay in the law. Stay under the protection. And thank you so much for the gifts, for the likes, for the shares, all that great stuff you guys have been doing today. Right? Stay in the law. He is a shield. He is a buckler. Right? Put on the whole armor of Elohim. This is what sovereigns do. All the stuff we're talking is biblical. That's why I tell people, even if you don't like the Bible, you better make sure. See, look, you got a Christian nation. Christian nations, they flip what stuff says and they interchange stuff. So you got to know that the Bible and what they're trying to flip on you, you better make sure that you know it enough to become sovereign. That's how you're going to do it in the Western world, at least. So I don't know. I don't know how the umbrella works. I just know the umbrella works. Right? I don't know how I don't know how pushing the button and the springs and everything works. I just know that there's springs in there. So I trust the button. Right? I have faith in it. Even though I don't know how it works. I have faith because I know it provides what? Cover and protection. And we're trying to do this stuff without being. Who you be is your protection. How you're covered is your protection. So I ask again before we get ready to ultimately take our leave. If there's any questions, comments, and concerns, feel free to put them in the chat. Thank you so much, Brother Clem. I ask again, who do you be? Right? Who do you be? Because whoever you be, that's what makes up. Do you not know you are an ATM machine? Why do you keep going to ATMs when you the ATM? Who taught you that? Do ATMs go looking for money, or do people come put money in ATMs? Gosh, I'm trying to finish. That's a word right there. That's a word right there. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for that. The Vakak Dash doing her thing. Do ATMs go anywhere looking for money? Or do people come looking for money from ATMs? And do people come in there getting ready to put money in ATMs? People come to ATMs to be able to make deposits too. Hallelujah. That's a word right there. Who you be? You are an ATM. Who you be is the ATM. When you start being who you be, when you just start doing what you're told, like you were told by the Most High, He's telling you who to be. If you would just be who you were told, that's when you become the ATM. Y'all don't want to hear that. But look at all these people who's running your businesses today. People invest in who they be. I don't care if it's something as considered to be, avant-garde or something out there concerning this conversation, as far as even if it's wrestling. If you go to wrestling, who you looking at? WWE, you know Vince McMahon. You know his personality, don't you? And guess what? All these people you grew up with. I don't know how far back y'all go in the WWE or WWF and stuff, but guess what? Vince McMahon used to tell Razor Ramon what to say. Now you would be like, now Razor Ramon, by the way, he white too, but he was doing the Scarface thing. Scarface, another person that wasn't really, a Cubano person, but playing a Cubano person. Nevertheless, right? It was Vince McMahon who was telling Razor Ramon what to say. You think that Razor Ramon was the guy who did whatever, or Scott Hall, right? You think that it was Scott Hall that was playing Razor Ramon. You don't realize that it was actually Vince McMahon, the person who was over the company. He was the influence. And he basically said, this is who you're going to be. And he would play it out, and then he would watch somebody play the character that came from him. He's the ATM. You can get mad at him at the way that he might mistreat somebody financially or this and that or whatever if you feel that. But guess what? He's the ATM. If it's not for him, there is no WWE, WWF, no billionaire company now. People can get mad all they want. You can get mad at Bill Gates and not like who Bill Gates is, but guess what? Microsoft, you shouldn't be surprised that Microsoft has taken over government stuff and has people to where they can't get things done unless they pay in a certain price. And Microsoft might have a bunch of issues with it, but you still feel like you got to do with it. So then all of a sudden, Bill Gates starts doing stuff that's very similar to how Microsoft works. And you say, I didn't expect this. You should have, because whoever Bill Gates be, that's who Microsoft be. Right? It shouldn't have surprised you. If Amazon is somewhere where they've taken away mom pop shops, where they've taken over some of the cloud stuff, where they've begun to basically when it comes to books, libraries, things like that, things are starting to go away, where they've taken over as far as food and things like that, Whole Foods. Nobody should have been surprised if it's taken over and everything's got to look a certain way to where we're going to take over stuff no matter what. Well, if he did that, kind of had the same kind of mindset with his wife, why was anybody surprised by that? Whoever he be, whoever the company be, that's who he be. Right? But whatever they be, that's what makes their money. You got to decide if you want to keep supporting who they be or who these companies are, but that's who they be. Whoever they be, that's how they make their money. You got to start deciding for yourself, will you be you? And not just for your money. Because guess what? We talking about money and stuff like that as if that's all there is to it. What about your children? Because if you won't be who you're supposed to be, your children ain't going to be who they're supposed to be. That's your brand. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. is that these babies are going to be out here doing what they're supposed to do. How they going to be who they're supposed to be, and their foundation isn't who they're supposed to be? Impossible. At least I would say it's impossible, but we know with Elohim, all things are possible. Prayerfully, you'll be the curse breaker, but if you will not be, hopefully you're setting it up that they'll be the curse breaker. But why not? Why not let it start with you? I'm so thankful that my wife and I could be curse breakers. I'm telling you, I am beside myself and realizing that my wife and I have a system set up that allows us to be curse breakers. We don't have to be what everybody else had to be. We don't have to fight like everybody else had to fight. We don't have to um, we don't have to go through the extremes that others had to go through, right? And some of the stuff we're gonna go back to what they went through. As far as we would love to be able to make sure that we have a farm and stuff and live on the land. Everybody was running away from it. They ran away from it. That should have been our birthright. We're gonna make sure that that's the birthright for the next generation. Right? Why not become the curse breaker? You are the curse breaker. You have everything in you. Because we always focus on Deuteronomy 28, starting at verse 15. So we can talk about all these curses and we can talk about why everybody's bad and why everybody can be bad and why nobody's going to be great and all this stuff. But don't forget that verses 1 through 14, you can choose that. Right? Don't forget, you can choose to be better. You can choose ye this day who you will serve. Will you continue to serve stuff that causes you to live in a curse, or will you continue, or will you start to choose stuff that causes you to live in blessings? You can be different today. You can be different today. You don't have to wait on reparations. You can repair yourself. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait on walking down the aisle, right? You don't have to wait on walking down the aisle to become married. You can be pre-qualified for marriage and be married to the Most High today. Be who you're supposed to be. Could you imagine? This is when we talk about marriages and stuff. I'm getting ready to take our leave, right? I'm getting ready to take my leave, and thank you guys for giving me a little extra as usual, right? I just want to make that clear. Like I get it. I get it. I do. I really do. I get it. Where people are like, they haven't been taught to be thinking eternal, so they don't be eternal. They are being temporary. But I need you to comprehend, like, what if you today you be a wife, even before you find the husband or the husband finds you, right? Thank you, Brother Clem. What if you decide today to be a wife? So that when a husband shows up, and he should be a husband too, when that husband shows up and you show up and you both are already in your being, that you won't have to try and figure out 5, 10 years down the road how to be what you're supposed to be and hope that it works out while you're trying to figure it out. But you hit the ground running. That husband comes in already making sure you're secure. You as a wife come in making sure that he feels respected. You guys coming together already knowing that sex is marriage, marriage is sex. You guys come in making sure you can write out your contract already and make sure you got your, on top of that, put a marriage constitution on top of that. Be today what you're going to be tomorrow. Can I leave you with that, brothers and sisters? This wasn't a popular message today. I could tell people don't like it when we start talking about certain things, right? But those of you who got this today, I think you got a lot today. Not I think, I know you got a lot today that a lot of our brothers and sisters need to hear. Heck, even our enemies need to hear some of this, for real, right? But be today what you're going to be tomorrow. Be today, because you know what you are today. You are being today what you were being yesterday. Be today what you will be tomorrow. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it's nobler in the mind, just nobler in the mind, right? Hamlet, yeah, right. Be today what you're going to be tomorrow. Right? To be or not to be, that is the question, as Hamlet said. Be today what you are going to be tomorrow. It starts today. People are on here talking about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to love myself. It starts today. Where your affirmations at? right? That's why we do life coaching, we do one-on-one coaching, we do marital coaching, right? And a lot of people, this is what happens. I'm not trying to blame anybody. I know sometimes I'm part of the problem and stuff, but this is what I tell people too. Like, I can tell because a lot of people, when they do the coaching and stuff, people will just drop off the face of the planet, especially if because they'll be waiting for me to be right. So it's your stuff. And I do this sometimes still too, if I be honest. I have to be careful. But it's like, oh, okay, so Kofi's supposed to work. Kofi's supposed to do this. He's the pastor. Well, he's gonna get in contact. I tell people straight up, like, if you don't hear from me, I'm busy and stuff. Make sure you send me a text, shoot me a call, do this or whatever, and hold me accountable, right? But it's your life. It's ultimately your session, right? And people will just fall off the face of the planet. And it's like, what happened to it? Because they're not trying to be. Don't focus on what somebody else is gonna do for you. I don't care if it's me. Say whatever you will. You don't have to like Kobe. You don't have to like Michael. Or if you love him, I don't care, right? You don't have to like LeBron. You don't have to like any of them, right? You don't have to like Kareem. You don't have to like um Bill Russell. You don't have to like Wilt Chamberlain. You don't have to like any of them, the Big O, whatever. But when it comes to taking shots, nobody had to tell Michael Jordan to get up early and take shots or to lift weights. Nobody had to tell Kobe Bryant. Like, I was watching something about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant talked about, he was talking to, I think he might have been talking to teenagers trying to get ready to play, or maybe he was talking in an interview. I can't remember. But he was basically saying, like, what does the average person do? Think about what he said. What does the average person do? In other words, we would say it today to make it line up with what we're talking about. What does the average person be? Right? But he basically says, what does the average person do, or what does the average person be when it comes to their workouts? And so, he made a point to say, well, so they were talking. They were like, well, somebody usually get up. You probably leave about 10 or so. Maybe eat around 10, something like that. As an athlete, you get to the gym around 11. Then you maybe practice, possibly work out and lift some weights. After that, you got to wait a few hours. Then you go back in the evening, you do the same thing. And then by that, it's time to go to bed, right? What Kobe Bryant said he did, right? What Kobe said he did is he said he gets up at 3 in the rising. He's at the gym at 4. He does his workout and lifting weights and all these different things. And then he finishes that, right? As soon as he finishes that, he comes and says, okay, now I'm going to do that or whatever, get ready for the rising. And then I get up again and leave again around 9, right? And he works out again and does that. Now, remember, the other person is just getting to the gym at 11. He's going to do his second cool down of the day. Then he said, I go back again at 3, get my cool down in, whatever. Then I go back again later at 7, do whatever, get my cool down and come back. He said, now imagine the person who's only doing it twice a day, who thinks they're doing it a lot. And he said, imagine him doing it every day, right? He said, it gets to be a place where, and then he said they take summers off or they take part of the summer off and they do this and do that. He said by the time he's doing his workout and his regimen and all these different things, and he's eating certain things and doing it all day, every day like that consistently, basically taking no days off. Even if he has to do stuff with his children and stuff like that, he's doing it around that schedule because that's what's making him the millions. That's what's going to make him the best. He wants to be the best at what he does. He's going to grind and he's going to outwork you because he's in competition, which means he has to be better than you as competition in order to outgrind. Right. And so, and all that stuff he's doing, he said, I'm outworking you, I'm outdoing you. Everybody else is just doing the bare minimum. They think that 2 times a day workout is a lot. He's like, but I'm one of the best athletes in the world. So my vision, my goal, what I be, what's gonna make me who I am, what's gonna give me the fame, the money, all that stuff, was gonna have all these people around the world saying, Kobe, Kobe, people shooting in trash cans still to this day talking about Kobe, right? And all that stuff. He's the thing that's going to make me greater than everybody else. It's going to be that I'm going to be putting that work in, right? While everybody else is only putting it in a little bit. So whoever you be, that's what I was saying earlier. Who you be, who you're being told to be, but especially what I was saying really, really early in this, Now here comes the last question as we get ready to take our leave. What specifically are you going to do to make sure that you keep up? Same to you, Sister Marion. Thank you. What are you going to do specifically to keep up? Like what you're doing, to keep it up, to make it better, to make it more valuable, to put the last bits and pieces on it, all that. How much work are you willing to put? How many times are you going to be in the gym? Preachers, how many times are you going to study etymology? People taking Hebrew character, like we got people taking classes, people taking Hebrew characters classes. Are you guys going to make sure that you say your characters enough to where you memorize them and you can say them and you can write them out? Those who are taking Sovereignty 1, are you guys going to make sure that you actually go get your DS11 stuff taken care of? Or are you just going to have the knowledge? Some people do stuff with it, some people don't. Those who are taking discipleship, are you going to be disciplined from now on? Those who are taking introduction to herbalism, my wife's going to show you guys how to outright make some of this stuff. A lot of you guys order the packages. Okay, like, are you guys going to put in the work and do what it takes with these packages? There's people that are going to be doing, people that are taking marriage classes. Are you going to use that in your marriage, or use that in your marriage with the Most High? Are you going to teach your children about this? Right? People who are taking biblical law. We've been learning about these biblical law, what these books of the Bible are actually called, etc. Are you willing to do what it takes for those things? And thank you, guys. We appreciate you. We appreciate the king, queen in each and every one of you, even if you're not living inside that kingdom or queendom yet. We appreciate the potential king and queen in each and every one of you. I'm going to go ahead and take my leave. Hopefully, you guys have a great day. Those of you who are on Patreon will be back on at 7:00 p.m. Eastern New York time to start the live then. And those of you who want to join up on TikTok or at 8:00 p.m. Eastern New York time, we're excited to see you guys then. So thank you so much. Hopefully, you got something out of this tonight. Our focus is going to be, I'm going to have to find some way to talk about it because I really don't have much to put on there. But hopefully, we'll be able to talk about the stuff going on with the after this. I'm not going to talk about it anymore unless it's something of value. But we'll be talking about this whole thing with the Trump hearings and all that stuff going on. That's what we'll talk about tonight. I'm not sure exactly what angle we'll be coming from, but we'll be talking about that tonight. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And if we don't see you then, for whatever reason, tomorrow is my day off. Minister Anais will be on teaching on the conference call line, the same conference call line we use for prayer. So feel free to go ahead and look on there. But we thank you. We appreciate you. We honor you. And we respect you guys so much. Thank you for everything that you do again. And we appreciate the king and queen in each and every one of you. Even if you're not living inside the kingdom or queendom yet, we appreciate the potential king and queen in each and every one of you. Please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, or website, or Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And her business is the business of making sure our people are healed. Check out other businesses too, like Best Body Butter, or check out what Sister Barbara is doing as far as or even Sister Benita as well, as far as what decoration. Check out what Sister Kelly is doing as far as soaps and different things that she creates. Sister Beverly also has great jewelry and things that you can use if you guys like some of the bracelets and stuff I've been wearing as of late. Those are things that were given to us. That we got through her business, through some of you giving us gifts to be able to do so. A gift card kind of experience, almost in a sense. Check out Brother TJ, Angelic Discipline, and what he has to offer as far as helping your stuff, as far as online things and how to get the word out and copyright types of stuff as well. Minister Anais is somebody that can help you with those things as well. Minister Sonia has a business as far as healing and also as far as massage therapy, and even being able to help you with having the right vibe and things around what you're doing. Sister Deja does stuff as far as desserts. We have a great community. I'm going to lose people at this point. There are certain people, I'm not going to put their name out, but they supposedly supposed to be working on putting some seasonings and things like that together. So many different things that we have to offer in this community. So we're thankful, we're grateful. I'm sorry, my wife said that the tincture of the month is called Glowing Skin Blend. It's hibiscus, chickweed, and mulberry. So glowing skin blend. So if you'd like to be able to get that to help you with your skin, if you're dealing with your skin, that's also going to be stuff that's going to be dealing with your staying young as far as even internally. It's also going to be stuff that's probably going to be dealing with your blood flow and different things like that. So feel free to get some of that. But yeah, so we have so many different things, so many different options. Continue. We got people that do HVAC stuff. Oakley Corbin, the guy who was on earlier, he actually has a business where he travels all over the United States, basically building homes. We have Brother Thomas that builds homes from scratch. Matter of fact, he's going to be the person when we start building on the land. He's going to be the person over it. So there's so many different things that we have access to around here. And prayerfully, you guys continue to partake and help each other out. We honor you guys. We appreciate the King, Queen, and each and every one of you. As always, and I'm sorry, and please study this word and meditate on it, pray about it, fast, whatever you need to do so you can be hearers of it and also learn how to execute. So you can be hearers of it and be it simultaneously. So thank you so much, sovereign beings. Hopefully you continue to become who you already be, and you simply just be who you're told. Thank you so much. We honor you, and we appreciate you as always. It's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice to the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again. Please remember, as always, yesterday, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. And if for some reason we don't see you this evening, tomorrow's my day off, so Minister Nice will be on the conference call line at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. And I will see you guys after our Thursday Rising Prayer. I will see you guys again on TikTok, YouTube, and the podcast, and hopefully Facebook as well. We'll see you guys again on Thursday if I don't see you this evening. Talk to you guys later. Appreciate you. Have an excellent day. And be who you be. Shalom. Peace.